This video is going to be the most complete No Man's Sky beginner guide on the internet. By the time you're done watching this video, you'll know everything that you need to know to play this game with confidence. We'll cover everything from early game features like building your own base, all the way to new end game features like building your own spaceship. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. I'll respond to every single one. I'm weird like that. Now, let's dive in. The first screen you're presented with is this one here. You'll choose to either join friends, and the one that most of you guys are going to be using to start is going to be here, this play one. You'll click here, you'll start a new game, and then from here, you'll get to choose what kind of an experience you want. Don't worry, this choice isn't terribly important because you can always change it once you get into the game. So if you're not sure what to do, I would probably start with the normal experience. I would hold off on the more difficult experiences like survival until you have beaten the game once already. All right, so the first thing the game is going to teach you is about scanning for resources that are nearby. This is something you're going to use a lot, especially early on when you're short on them. Soon you'll have a stockpile and you'll be able to just grab them as you pass by them, and it won't be something that you're specifically looking for anymore. But the game starts you off with a few important things, so let's talk about those. You've got your multi-tool. This is what you spawn into the game with. This is going to be what you use to both harvest resources and to kill enemies. And you've got all these upgrade slots that we'll talk about more in a bit, but you can use these upgrade slots to increase this tool's performance. It'll make it better at harvesting materials. It'll make it better at killing enemies. You've also got your exosuit. That's your backpack and suit that's on your character here. In the same way that you can upgrade your multi-tool by finding little attachments that you can slot in here, you can do the same thing for your exosuit. At the top here, you've got the upgrade slots. This is your technology slots, as the game calls them. You put something in here and it increases your exosuit's ability to keep you alive or to get you around. You can upgrade your jetpacks, for instance, to make you fly farther and faster and all of that good stuff. And then down here, you've got your cargo. So whenever you pick something up in the game, it's going to end up in this space right here. Finally, you've got a starship. Now, we don't have our starship just yet, but this is going to be the third thing that you really start with the game. And similarly, you've got your technology here where you can slot upgrades to your starship up in the top section, and then your cargo down here. When you find items or collect items, you can put them in here for extra storage. So if your exosuit gets full, you can dump some stuff into your cargo in your starship. And if you're killing things with your starship and that enemy drops loot, say you kill a spaceship in space or you kill an asteroid in space, if you get any materials from that kill, it's going to end up in your starship's cargo. So it's not a bad idea to leave a little space in here for those kind of situations. The first thing that you're going to do here is use the scanner. And when you try to use it, it's going to tell you, hey, you need to gather ferrite dust for repairs. Now, this is a very common thing in this game. Whenever you click on one of these things in your inventory that has a percent like this, that means this hazard protection is only 20% full. And I need sodium, nitrate, or ion batteries to recharge this to protect me from dying in the elements. But first, Ragnarok M Classic is an amazing free-to-play fantasy MMO with no pay-to-win ruining character progression. Instead, it focuses on giving players the most enjoyable experience possible, filled with nostalgia. To that end, it has only one currency for all of your in-game purchases, whether you're looking to purchase equipment or materials. This is an MMO where you earn power instead of purchasing it. You love to see it. It features 6 classes with 3 breakthroughs, all of which are earned and unlocked by playing the game. Each class has its own skill tree and progression, letting you build the type of character you enjoy playing the most. Feel like trying a different class? No problem. They've added a real-time class changing system to the game. You can meet people in game or dive in with your friends to create and join guilds. And are you tired of failing your refinements in other MMOs? Everyone is. So they gave refinement a 100% success rate. So jump in and explore the Midgards and discover busy towns, secluded forests, and mysterious dungeons filled with magic and insane possibilities. These days, it's awesome to see an MMO actually launch with the player's experience at the forefront of their design. So download now using the link in the description and dive into the global launch on September 3rd. It's a great way to support this type of player-first mentality. Shout out to Ragnarok M Classic for sponsoring this segment. Now let's get back to the video. Let's cover the HUD really quick here. What we've got on screen in the bottom left, you've got that red bar there. It's ticking down. That is my hazard protection. It's protecting me from the very hot weather on this planet. You can see it's 137 degrees Fahrenheit. And if I just offended any metric system users out there, I deeply apologize. And below that, you've got your oxygen/health bar. Now that's not going to take any damage down there unless you've depleted your shield first. Below that, it tells you the temperature, the radiation, the toxicity of this area. And then on the right side, it's telling you current tasks. So it's saying, hey, we need to scan, but we can't because we need ferrite. So what we can do is shoot things. If we hover over them, it tells us what it's going to give us. That gives us carbon. carbon. We hover over this rock, it gives us ferrite dust. And generally, anytime you're looking for ferrite dust in this game, rocks are going to be the way to go. Bigger rocks like this one are going to give you more ferrite dust, but they're going to also take longer to break apart. And this one here says analyze. So after you have analyzed this, you're going to get a second material when you harvest this. We haven't harvested it yet, so we're only going to get the first material. This is one of the main incentives for analyzing everything that you see before you start harvesting all of it on a planet. We can't analyze just yet because we have to repair our scanner first. That's the thing we need to repair. All right, so we've collected a bunch of ferrite and it says repair the multi-tool. So we select the multi-tool in the top and then we come over to this blinking one here. It's highlighting it for us because it's saying, hey, this is broken, you want to repair it. Boom. We give it the ferrite dust. Now we can scan to locate the sodium to recharge our shield that's protecting us from death. You can also see we still don't have our visor installed, so we can't scan this rock just yet. And here we can see some of that sodium. If we hover over it, it tells us how far away it is. So let's scan again. And this one's 113, 158, 71. Okay, that one's pretty close. Let's go there. Nice thing you can do in this game is really useful mobility hack, actually. So the game never tells you this. So normally you'll jetpack up. But if you punch first, you can get some really good forward momentum. You can see that bar in the bottom left is getting really small. So we're going to go ahead and repair that. So all you have to do is select this one here. And then right in the bottom, it says E to quick charge. So you don't have to grab it and drop it because that's kind of time consuming and you're going to be doing this a lot. So it's good to get familiar with the quick charge button. Just click and right here, you hover over it, it says quick charge E. So we just click E and then boom, it puts it there. We don't have to manually drag it back. It saves you a little bit of movement there. Alternatively, you can bring up your quick select menu. On PC, it's X, and generally the game will tell you what the button is. If you're on console, it'll tell you what button you need to press. Now, it's not telling us that for this menu, but if you don't know what button to use to get into any certain menu, I'll put a link to all the keybinds for your convenience. And of course, you can always find them. If you're not sure what a specific keybind is, you can come in here to controls, remap controls, and you can see every single keybind in the game that way too. At the top here, it shows you your keybinds while you're on foot, like controls, quick menu, Exocraft, Galactic map, right? Lots of different keybinds. Most of the time, the game's going to be telling you what button to press. Just like right now in the bottom right screen, it says reach the mark signal and then use the scanner with C to highlight the key resources. So we'll go ahead and do that. Now let's talk about how damage works in this game really quickly. Now on our way to our objective down there, we came up to this little camp and it's covered with sentinels. Sentinels are robots that, well, they're basically protecting the planet that they're on. They're protecting it from people that want to harvest the materials or kill the animals. Anything like that is going to upset them and then cause them to attack you. So generally you're going to want to avoid harvesting materials in front of them unless you're ready to either fight them or run away from them. See how damage works here? Boom. So right there, you saw me take some damage. In the top left, I have a shield. And if I don't take damage for long enough, the shield protects me from incoming damage. If that shield empties, then those little plus signs below it will get taken off. And then when all of those are emptied, I will die. Now, whenever my shield is depleted, and I'm still taking damage, another thing is happening. My items are taking damage. So one of them might break and no longer function until I repair it. So that's another reason to try to avoid taking damage when you don't have a shield up. Now, at just about every point of interest in the game, you're going to run into one of these. It's a little pole like this, and when you come up to it, it says save and chart. Now, this is going to both save this location and it's going to give you a chart, which is really useful. So on the right side of the screen, we'll see it pop up there, navigation data. So we are going to use navigation data a lot, especially early on and even later into the game. So anytime you see one of these camps, make sure to run up to this post, get that navigation data, and then we're going to use those to increase our inventory size. Because this is a survival game, one of the first problems you're going to have is inventory space. And really, that's never going to stop being a problem until way late in the game when you've unlocked a lot of these nodes. And you can even get a scroll bar so that you can scroll further down. So we're going to get a lot of those. So here it says, if I attack this container, I'll get platinum. But I know that if I do that, it's going to upset those guys and they're going to attack me. And we don't want to deal with that right now. We're just going to take our chart and run. Another tip is this is a survival game. So anytime you see a material for the first time, dihydrogen or any material, it's never a bad idea to grab a bunch of it. You get into an area, you see a material for the first time, just grab a bunch of it. You're never going to regret it. And if you don't, you're eventually going to be asked for it and not have it. So it's just one of those great habits to have in any survival game, and No Man's Sky is no exception. This game has a few different, what I would call main story quests. They're going to always be the red ones. So if we open up our log here, you can see we've got primary missions and secondary missions. If the objective has a red red marker, that's going to be a primary mission. Otherwise, it's going to be a secondary mission. The primary missions are going to be pushing you forward in the game in a way that causes them to unlock new blueprints and things that you could also otherwise get in a lot of other ways. So don't feel like you have to follow the main story of the game, or the primary missions, I should say. It's totally okay to deviate. In fact, that's generally what I do when I'm playing this game. Now it's going to tell you to board the crashed ship. This is your spaceship, but just like our multi-tool, it's not going to work until we repair it because it's damaged. So it's telling us here our launch thruster is damaged, and so is our pulse engine. So in order to repair our launch thruster, we can see we need pure ferrite and dihydrogen jelly. And for the pulse engine, we need 1 hermetic seal and 1 metal plating. So this is going to happen a lot where you see items that you need, and then your next question is, well, how do I get that? So if you click on a space in your inventory and find the thing that it told you to make, like one of the things we need was metal plating, and metal plating, it says, is going to cost 50 ferrite each. Okay. We also need dihydrogen jelly, which is going to cost 40 of those dihydrogen. See, and we're now glad that we were picking that stuff up. This is a good time to mention when you're using your multi-tool, you'll see that it's changing colors based on the top right screen. If that bar is filling up, that's the heat of the laser. When it gets too hot, it'll shut off, and you'll have to wait for it to cool down to be able to use it again. In this case, my multi-tool ran out of fuel, so we would go ahead and go to our multi-tool and recharge it. So when we click on it, it tells us that we need carbon to refuel it. Okay, so we've got some ferrite dust, so now let's make our metal plating. So we'll come up to our ship and we'll click on the pulse engine, and we gave it the metal plating. Now the next thing that we need to make is a hermetic seal, but if we come in here, you can see that we don't have the ability to create that yet. It's not on our list. So we'll go here, it gives us a chart, and this is teaching you how to use charts in this game. This is something you're going to use a lot, whether it's finding settlements, finding points of interest, or finding inventory upgrades for your exosuit. You're going to use these a lot. So we use that, and it's going to zoom out. It's going to give you this animation, and then it's going to zoom back in, and it's going to point you in the direction of that location. So there it is right there. We hover over that. How far away is that? 900. That's a good little run. And remember, whenever you have a run ahead of you like that, make the most of it. Grab any materials along the way that look useful. Whenever you see something glowing red, that's giving you oxygen. When it's glowing yellow, that is giving you sodium. Oxygen's going to fill the bottom meter down there, and then sodium is going to fill the top one. Now the game just told me a storm is coming in. Now my character doesn't have a lot of resistance to any type of storm right now because we don't have any upgrades on our exosuit just yet. So do you see the double arrow? That means that the storm is depleting my hazard protection faster than normal. Now it's a triple arrow, so it's depleting it even faster. So the more arrows you see next to it down there, the faster it's depleting. So whenever you see that, you definitely want to keep an eye on it and either go somewhere where you're protected, like a tunnel, a cave, or inside of a building or a ship. And if none of those options are available, or if you just don't want to wait it out and you just want to stay active, what you can do is recharge it. So you can open up your quick menu, recharge. Whenever you use that on PC, it's X. The first thing that's going to come up is your recharge option. And alternatively, you can always come in here and recharge manually. But once you get in the habit of using that quick menu, it's going to be really convenient for recharging because it's something you're going to have to do quite often in this game. Now, occasionally you'll run into things like this, and it's going to have some rusted metal here. Rusted metal, I don't think is terribly useful. I don't generally hold on to that, so I just destroy it. Ferrite's easy enough to get. We don't need to destroy metal to get it. Now this just gave me the hermetic seal that I needed. Now we just unlocked the ability to craft our visor. This is going to be really useful in this game. We're going to open up the menu by clicking this and then clicking on the visor, which puts it right there. And the visor is part of your multi-tool and not your exosuit, as odd as that may sound. And if we hover over it, it says to install this, we need carbon nanotubes 1. So carbon nanotubes require carbon. So we're just going to get some carbon really quick. Oh, well, here's some sodium. So we just had something kind of interesting here. We ran out of fuel while farming carbon. So what happened is we have a multi-tool, but we can't use it to farm carbon. So what you can do in a pinch is you can punch, and this is going to give you carbon. There you go. We got 11, 12. There we go. So that's kind of your backup plan. If you run out of fuel for your laser and you don't have a way to refill it, you can punch something. On PC, it's Q. Here's these red bulbs. This thing, if you walk up to it, it gives you a ton of oxygen. Or if you shoot it with your laser, it's going to give you a little bit. So if you harvest these, you kind of go up and harvest the pods on it. Like it gave us 173. If we would have just killed it like this, it only gives you 43. So you're going to get significantly more resources from those particular plants, which you'll see on all sorts of planets if you run up and grab the bulbs from them. I see a lot of planets over there that should be able to give me a lot of carbon. So we're just going to harvest a lot of it because we're going to need loads of it here. All right, we have enough carbon to make nanotubes. So we make those and then we slot them into our visor. So now it works. Now we can scan things. So if you open up your visor by pressing F on PC, otherwise if you're on console in the bottom right there, it tells you what button to press right where it says F for me. And then you click and it scans. Now this rock here, it says analyze to find out what the second ingredient is. And then it also says advanced mining laser required. So we can analyze this and it says we're going to get dihydrogen as well, but we need an advanced mining laser. That's something that will be given to you as you're progressing through the game. Alternatively, if you want it sooner than later, you can buy that blueprint when you get to the anomaly. Scanning everything you see is good for a few different reasons. It's good because it's going to give you achievement points that you're going to be able to turn in for nanites later. There's 3 currencies in this game. You've got units, nanites, and quicksilver. Units are cash that you can use when you're buying things from merchants and trade centers and things like that. You'll also be able to use units to buy weapons and spaceships, so you'll never have too much of that. Nanites are what you're going to use to buy things like blueprints and upgrades, and so you'll never have too many of those, especially early in the game. And then quicksilver is a very rare material that you can get from a couple of different types of activities. You get some from the primary missions, and then you get some from group missions that you can pick up at the anomaly, and we'll dive into all of that much more later. But those are the 3 currencies that you're going to be getting while you play this game and what each of those is for. On the top of your screen, you have a compass that's going to be incredibly helpful. You'll be using that a lot. Like in this case, we're heading back to our spaceship, which is quite a ways away there. It says 600 units. So that's an easy way to find out where it is. Another thing you'll be finding a lot in this game is viscous fluids. You can keep this and there's a way to keep upgrading it and eventually turn that into nanites. We'll talk about that in a bit here. So I'll go ahead and save this just to show you how to do that. You'll walk up to things like this right here a lot early and it'll say Atlas Pass version 1 required. So you won't be able to get into any of those until you've crafted an Atlas Pass and have it on you. You'll be able to craft one of those pretty early if you know where to look for it. And of course, I'll show you where to look for it. We got that hermetic seal. Now our pulse engine is fully repaired. But in order to repair the launch thruster, we need these 2 things that we need to craft, the hydrogen jelly and pure ferrite. So in order to craft dihydrogen jelly, all we have to do is click in our inventory and use the recipe that we already know. Boom, there we go. The hydrogen jelly made. But in order to make pure ferrite, we're going to have to come into here. So we're going to click our build button on PC. That is Z. This is our build button and we'll build a portable refiner. But in order to build that, we need another metal plating. So we'll go ahead and go to our exosuit, build a metal plating, then come back to the build menu. Boom, portable refiner. And what we can do is we can put a stack of ferrite. So if you ever put something here, it's going to tell you what it's going to make over here. And we need pure ferrite. So we'll put that there. Another thing that's nice to do is when you click on the ferrite dust, a lot of times you're going to want to have both materials on you. You're not going to want to convert all of your ferrite dust because the next thing you need to build might require ferrite dust, like the metal plating, for example. You'll be building it all the time. So you never want to get rid of all your ferrite dust. So you can click on this and then down here it says quick split and it'll tell you what button to press on console. On PC it's C. We press that. Now I'm only holding half of my ferrite dust. Put that in there and it's going to make that. And then here we need to give it fuel. So we can use either condensed carbon or carbon. The farther right the option is, the more efficient it technically is. However, early in the game, we don't have a lot of condensed carbon. So even though it's more efficient, I'm going to hold on to it just in case we need it to craft something. And I'll use my very abundant carbon, right? Any plant I break is going to give me more carbon. So I'm not in any shortage of that. Put this here and let this create the pure ferrite for us. Now, the way this works is you can look at it here and you can see that it's going and it's counting up. This beam will turn green when it's done. And you can see it moves pretty fast. You don't have to wait too long for this. And generally you can multitask it. So while it's refining something that you need, you can go out and collect more of something else that you know you're going to need next. Okay, we'll put that away. Alternatively, what you can do is when you hover over it, it says to pick up, press this button. On PC, it's showing us the middle mouse button. When we do that, it automatically puts all the fuel back in our inventory. It puts the refiner in our inventory and it puts whatever it made in our inventory. So you don't have to manually grab the ingredients out of it if you know that you're done using that refiner. So now we can come to our ship. We can click on our launch thruster here and we can give it the pure ferrite that we made and we can give it the dihydrogen jelly that we made. And now that is repaired. Now, just so you're aware of what the launch thruster does, the launch thruster is what is responsible for your ship taking off. Anytime you want to lift off in an area with gravity, so when you're not on a space station, location. When you're on a planet or on a moon, you're going to need some launch thruster fuel. And you'll notice when we take off here, it's going to use some of that. Right now it's 50% full. If we wanted to refill it, we'd either need Starship launch fuel or uranium. Later on, what I'm going to recommend is when you do find a planet with uranium, farm loads of it and then just keep it on you. Keep a big fat stack. And then anytime you need to recharge, you can just use their uranium that you found. You don't have to bother crafting Starship launch fuel over and over. Now we're going to take off, and that had 50% charge we touched on earlier. Remember, now it's down to 25. So it's going to use 25% of our fuel each time that we take off. So you want to be careful how many times you're landing and taking off unnecessarily. Sometimes it's just going to be better to run. And then while we're in the air, it's worth noting that it's dark. So we can see right there, that's a ton of sodium. See how it's glowing yellow? And if you see a big red glowing area, like right there, that's going to be oxygen. So if you're ever needing to farm oxygen or sodium, you can do that. Alternatively, you can shoot things in your ship. And look in the top right, it's farming that for me. The hydrogen, tons of it, carbon. So you don't have to get out of your ship to farm. Remember how I just said you don't want to land more than you have to? I'm getting tons of ferrite dust, especially these basic tier materials. It's going to be a lot faster to do it in your ship than it is going to be to get out with your laser and do it over and over. So not a bad idea early in the game. Just do a little flying around, shooting the ground, fly low to the ground. And as long as you see materials popping up in the top right there, you're doing good. That's fine. Now, if we go to our Starship inventory, we can see here how much we got. We got 649 ferrite and 557 carbon, right? Really fast. That would have taken much longer if we were doing that with our laser. So definitely take advantage of that. You're not going to be able to get any advanced materials with this though. Just, you know, be aware. All the advanced stuff is going to require you to get down and use your laser on it. This is just good for that tier 1 material. All right, so now it's telling us go into the stars and seek more answers. So you fly into space. Wow, that is a gnarly looking planet right there. Look at that thing. This is a good time to talk about the fact that you can scan planets. So if we look at it, interesting, we got closer and it turned blue from red. It looks a lot less hostile now. But if you hover over a planet, you can see there it says press blank to scan. On PC, it's saying that we press C. So we press that while looking at it, and it's telling us what type of planet this is. It's also telling us how long it's going to take to get there at the current speed we're going. Right now I'm idling, so it says it's going to take an hour and 38 minutes. And it tells us it's a frostbound planet, so it's going to be cold, and it's got frost crystal, copper, dioxide, and sodium. That's how you're going to find materials that you need. So eventually you're going to need loads and loads of copper, so it's not a bad idea to set up a base on a planet with copper so that you can return back there and farm copper anytime you need to. Another thing you'll see while you're in space is you'll see meteors like this one here, or asteroids, and you can shoot them and it gives you materials. There you see it gave us some tritium. Tritium is something that we use to fuel our spaceship. If we click on this right here, our pulse engine says it takes tritium, and that's predominantly what you're going to be using to fuel it. So put that there. This one takes uranium and launch fuel. In order to get more launch fuel, we need, look at this right here. It says we need dihydrogen, which we've been collecting lots of because we knew we'd need it, and some metal plating. So fortunately, we got quite a bit of both of those things, and we'll go ahead and make a couple. There we go. So when we need it, we'll use it, but don't use it before you need it, because if you overfill it, it goes to waste. So if we use our booster engine, which is shift on PC, it tells you on the bottom right there what buttons to press for all these things that's asking you to do. Now it says hold space to test our pulse engine. So we've got our turbos that we use here just to go a little bit faster, and then our pulse engine, if we hold it down, it activates really fast travel. And you can see now it's only taking us 27 seconds to get to this planet instead of a much longer time that it was taking. So we'll go out of that, and it says that we've got communications coming up. Press X. So this is going to happen a lot in the game while you're in your spaceship. If you keep an eye on the bottom right there, occasionally you'll see that symbol. You want to interact with it, press X, and then click the communication thing that pops up, and then there will be a transmission coming in. Sometimes it'll be a pirate that wants to threaten you. Sometimes it will be a call for help. Sometimes it will be a traveling tradesman flying around space that wants to trade with you. In this case, it's just part of the primary missions. So it told us our destinations on this planet here. So what you do is you look at it, and then you use your pulse drive. On the bottom right there, it's telling you what button to press. It says space for PC. So we use space bar, hold it down, it charges up, and now it's going to automatically take us all the way to that. If it's on the other side of this planet, that's fine. It'll wrap around the planet for us. It intelligently guides us to the location here. And you can see pulse engine active, fuel remaining 81%. Just keep an eye on that so you don't run out. Now we're flying towards this. It's a cloudy planet right now. Barely even see what's happening. Oh, There we go. We broke through the clouds. It says signal source, approximate location. So it wants you to land at this approximate location and then get out and use your visor to look for the final location. So you get out, use your visor again, F on PC, and then you'll notice if we look this way, it's pointing us this way. If we look this way, telling us to go this way. All right, so the destination's over here about 200 units away. That's nice and close, actually. A lot of times it'll be a lot farther than that. So here we have another pod. And before we go there, we can grab this thing right here because there's almost always one of these little poles here that you can save and get a free data from. And there it pops up in the top right. Another navigation data. Sweet. We want more of those. That's what we're going to use to increase our inventory size, remember? So we interact with this and we extract the plans from it. New building part, base computer. So there's a couple things about this that are of note here. It's going to require chromatic metal. In order to make chromatic metal, you have to put copper into a refiner. And that's why I said we're definitely going to need lots of copper because this game uses chromatic metal in a lot of blueprints. And so that's why I say when you find copper, just grab tons of it. Now, the other thing of note about that is that's what we use to claim land to build a base. And it's also giving us the terrain manipulator. The terrain manipulator is what we use to do exactly that. You can use it to dig holes in the terrain, to build up the terrain. You can make your own mountain if you want to. And you also use it to farm copper. So we're going to go ahead and install the terrain manipulator because we're going to need it. And it says we need dihydrogen jelly and a carbon nanotube. We know how to make those now. We've already done it before. Hydrogen jelly, nanotube. Come here, install it. Oh, we needed 2 nanotubes. So we'll make one more. When you hover over an item that you've already crafted, you can see there, it says press this button to craft more. So if you ever have one of them, but you need 1 or 2 or 5 more, you can just press that button. You don't have to go into the menu and do it that way. It saves you some time. So we've got that. Now we've got a terrain manipulator. Sweet. This item is really useful, as I mentioned. So it tells you right there on the bottom right, activate the terrain manipulator with G on PC. It'll tell you what it is on console. Use the analysis visor to locate deposits, and it tells you the button there too. So the way this terrain manipulator works is we pull it out, we switch over to it with the button that it tells you right there, G for us on PC. And then it's got different sizes we can use. This is really important to know. So you can see the different sizes. So if you just want to make a tunnel to get through, you can make it really big by pressing T until it's to the max size, or R, which is right next to T, right? So it goes to the small size. There's 3 sizes: small, medium, large. The thing to know about this is either way, it's giving you the exact same materials. So if you are just digging a tunnel for some reason or trying to clear land, it can be really nice to use the big one. However, if you're mining copper, you want to use the smallest size because that's going to give you way more copper when you finally find that copper deposit. Speaking of, let's find a copper deposit. So what we do is we use our visor and we'll see these icons. See the blue icon? We hover over this copper deposit. It says that's 1,000 units away. Yeah, let's find something closer if we can. This one's 1,000 away. Well, it looks like we don't have a choice. While you're running around doing this quest and all of the other ones, don't forget to scan wildlife, scan everything. You're going to need those points. And also every time you scan one, you can see there it's giving me units. It's giving me money that I can spend to buy things. So what we're going to do here, so we don't have to keep pulling out this visor, is if we hover over this, the bottom option there is hold E to tag. So we'll hold that button that it tells us to hold. Now look, we can see it without opening up our visor and constantly. We're seeing some gnarly creatures on this planet. Now we fell into this canyon here, but because we have this tool, we can just kind of walk our way out of it by making our own little ramp through the mountain there. Use that terrain manipulator to your advantage. It's also going to be giving you whatever resource that you're using it on. So whenever you're just doing it on dirt, you're going to be getting silicate powder, and you'll be able to use that to make glass, which you don't need very often, but you will need from time to time. So don't feel bad about using silicate powder when you do need to use it, because it's real easy to get. You literally just fire your weapon into the ground. All right, so remember what we said? We want to make it as small as possible. We don't want the big one here, because if we use this, it's going to give us the same amount of resources as this, but this is going to use a lot less of it up. This is a finite amount of copper here. We can't just harvest it forever. Once we've got it all, it's gone. Everything has a purpose in this game. That's why it's nice to just basically run around with a little bit of everything on you all the time and just get a really big inventory so that you can do that. And things get a lot easier, a lot smoother. How much copper do we have? 322 so far. Nice. That's great. You can see we're getting to the bottom of it here. We're running out of copper. It's going to take using the smallest version of your terrain manipulator Manipulator is going to make this take a while. But the nice thing is now you don't have to make that long run to a second copper deposit, right? Because that was a bit of a run. They can be pretty spread out in this game. So it's just nice when you get to a resource to just get as much of it as you can. We ran out because see here, we can use silicate powder. I recommend using that instead of the ferrite dust or the pure ferrite, right? Because that you're going to be using for a lot of other things. Silicate powder, you're not really using for anything other than charging up this weapon. All right, we've got just about all of it. There's a little bit left, but I think we have more than enough. And you can see here, we have almost 1,000 copper. So probably would have got right up around 1,000 copper from this deposit. Now we needed chromatic metal, so we'll bring out our portable refiner, slap some copper in there. We'll go ahead and do quick split again. We're gonna do about half of it. Give it some fuel. Let it begin. All right, we finished making the chromatic metal. Okay, the next thing it wants us to do is build our base computer, and this is what we use to claim land so that we can actually build a base. You have to build a base computer and claim the land. So we go into the build menu, grab the base computer, slap it on the ground, and then you interact with it and claim base. This is going to claim this whole area right here so that nobody else can build where you're building. And they're not going to build right on top of your base. It says interact with this. We will. Your base, and it's going to give us some plans to build our first basic structure out of wood. And this is one you can use for the entire game if you want to. So I recommend starting with the floor. Don't worry if it seems like it's half buried like this. It's not going to be. It's going to clear the terrain off the top of it. It's actually very intelligent in that way. So see how we put it there? Cleared it out of the way. And you can build kind of out like that. And then it's using carbon. So another reason why having excess carbon is always useful. Put the roof over our head and put a door here. Quite a storm out here now. Whew. Okay, so now you'll notice when you're in your house, you are protected from the weather. My hazard protection refilled. Oxygen is getting low though, so we'll go ahead and fill that up so nothing bad happens. Now that's outside. You may want all of your equipment inside your house, right? Because it's just convenient to have it all inside. So what you do is you open up your build menu, and then at the bottom down here, it says press this button to select something. And then it says edit placed parts. Press this button. In this case, it's C. If we press C, now we can click on this and set it inside the base. So every time it tells us to interact with it, we don't have to go out into that crazy storm. Now it says interact with the base computer again, extract plans. And this base computer is actually going to teach you a lot of plans just like this. You come and interact with it when the primary missions tell you to. It's going to teach you a new blueprint and new thing that you can craft. So for this, we're going to need magnetized ferrite and carbon nanotubes. So we know how to make stuff, right? We pull out the refiner here, the portable refiner. And in order to make magnetized ferrite, you can probably guess what it's going to need, right? Because we already know how to gather ferrite and turn that into pure ferrite. Now, if we put the pure ferrite in here, it's going to make magnetized ferrite. So we'll go ahead and do that. Go ahead and stop it at 30. It's more than we need. Just leave the portable refiner there in case we need it again here. Make some nanotubes and slap our construction research unit down. And now this is where you can research buildable technology. So you come in here and you've got little tech trees that you can work your way down. But for that, we need salvaged data, right? It says we need 2 of these blocks. Those blocks are salvaged data. We have 0 at the moment. So what we want to do is find buried technology. Buried technology is going to give you salvaged data. So come outside and look, there's a cargo drop. And then when you see this symbol right here, it looks almost like a Wi-Fi symbol. That's your buried technology module. So select it and then head over to it. And because it's buried, we're going to use our terrain manipulator to dig it up. Just walk up to it, interact with it, salvage data. There you go. It's that easy. We need a lot of these. So one of the things you want to do while you're playing this game is look out for these. Whenever you see one of these nearby, you'll find that buried technology. So we already grabbed the technology, but that's just something to be aware of. Just kind of link those two in your head. Whenever you see one of these, there's a buried technology somewhere nearby. Lovely weather on this planet. And this is a good time to note, whenever you need a break from weather, like if it's killing you, you can dig a little cave and it'll protect you from the storm. If there's like a really bad storm outside, it'll give you a little bit of a reprieve in case your shield's running low and you're getting scared. So then we come back to the construction research unit and it says research buildable technology and the base teleport module. This thing is huge. You've now unlocked fast travel. So you'll be able to connect everything you find in this game. Every planet you go to, you can put one of these down if you ever think you might want to come back to that planet. So if it's got a new resource that you'll need more of later, make a little mini base where it's just 4 walls, a roof, and a teleporter, and a source of power. And you'll be able to come back anytime you want to. So we're also going to learn how to make a fuel reactor because the teleporter doesn't work without fuel. And then you also have to learn electrical wiring, which it fortunately gives to you for free. And eventually, when you can, these solar panels are really nice to have. I recommend working your way to those when you get a chance, because then you don't need to build the biofuel reactor. They just automatically charge your portal using the sun. You put a solar panel down and a battery down and then wire that to your teleport module, and it's just powered for the rest of the time. You don't have to worry about filling it up again. But for now, we can go ahead and build one of these teleport modules. So it's going to require metal plating, carbon nanotubes. So 4 metal plates, 2 nanotubes. So we'll go ahead and craft those. Now, another thing to be aware of about your mining laser is that it has an insane range. See those trees over there? Yeah, no problem. You can grab those from here. Okay, so you don't have to run right up to things, harvest them. You can stand somewhere. Once you start seeing the damage ticking, you know you're hitting the target. Eventually, it's going to pop. It's going to give you what you are farming it for. There we go. So we know we need 4 metal plating. So what we can do is we hover over this, and there you see it says build, and below that it says change craft amount with A and D. So we'll press D till it says 4. Boom. Now we craft 4 at a time without having to do it multiple times. Same thing with the nanotubes. We want 2, so we'll make 2 of those. Open up the build menu, put down a base teleporter. Easy, right? But it's got that lightning bolt there telling you it's got insufficient power. So just like we mentioned a moment ago, we need to have a source of power. So we'll craft that. And then it says it has no fuel. So we've got to put some fuel in there. So we'll give it some carbon. Now it's powered, but it's still not. That's where we go into our build menu. Select your electrical wiring. So the way the wiring works is when you get close, you'll see it attached to these different attach points that various items have. So we'll put it on this one here. And then you see that wire. Well, now it's powered. And here, if you interact with it, it tells you how long it's powered for. It says 49 hours. That's real life hours. Whenever you see a timer in this game, it's real life hours. So whether or not you're in the game, it's ticking down. This is going to come in really handy for when you're upgrading things at a settlement or sending your frigate out on missions, and those use real life timers. So when you go to bed, they're ticking down, you wake up, you get on the game, and boom, you've got some nice rewards waiting for you, some finished upgrades. So just keep that in mind. The timers in this game are real life time. Now you can interact with your base computer, and there's a couple of things that I like to do with these. One thing I like to do is I like to tell myself why I built this base. So if you built it because there was copper nearby, then you might say that. You might name it like Copper Farm, right? And you might say, just okay. It's not a great copper farm, but there is copper here if I need it and I want to teleport back or something like that. Or you might name this one, you know, first base as copper. And the primary missions are going to tell you to come back to this base quite a few times to interact with your computer and everything to progress it. So you'll be back here a bit. And you can capture a new screenshot if the screenshot that it made isn't going to remind you this place. You know, you can make a new one. You can have it randomly make a new one. You can make one yourself, get the angle that you want. And then you're like, oh yeah, there it is. Beautiful. And then also you can upload the base if you want other people that are playing this game to be able to see your base. Okay, so now you'll notice that our spaceship is a long ways away. It's 820 units away. We don't want to run that far, right? We like to be efficient creatures. So we are going to summon it using our quick menu. We'll scroll over to summon vehicle here, and then we will choose only vehicle we have right now, which is our spaceship. And there it comes. Now you won't be able to summon your vehicle if the launch thruster is empty. So right now it's empty. So if I got out and I ran somewhere really far away and then I went, okay, I don't want to run back, I'll summon it. It wouldn't work. So what I would do is make sure we keep that full. And you see how that one container filled it up 100%? That's why you want to wait until it's just about empty to use those containers you can, so that you're not wasting them. Now it says go to the space station. So as you might have surmised, space station's going to be in space. You know, fly straight up seamlessly into space, something this game does so well. And you'll notice there's a yellow marker. This marker right here is going to be the symbol for a space station. In all of the basic star systems are going to have a space station. Once you get a better warp drive and you're able to go to more advanced star systems, then they won't always have a space station. But all of the yellow stars, as they're called in this game, so if we pull up the galaxy map, now you see if it's got a yellow star, you should be able to find a space station there, unlike the red stars here. So you notice when we're looking around here, there's red stars, green stars, blue stars, right? Each one of those requires a different warp drive. As you're advancing through the game, you're able to get to different star systems here. So let's go ahead and head to the space station because there is a lot of good stuff that you can do at space stations. These are really important in this game. So we'll go ahead and fly right in. Fortunately, it lands for us, so we don't have to embarrass ourselves trying to land in here every time. Now, there's a lot going on here. If we stand back and look, you can kind of see what's happening. Right there, you see the symbol we're looking at? It's a list of missions. You see this symbol right here? That's units. You can either spend your units or sell things to make units right there. There, that's a teleport symbol. So there's a teleporter right there. See, this is where you buy and sell things for units. Soon enough, you'll have this place memorized. But when you land and you're trying to remember, where am I trying to go? Well, now you can see, rather than running around looking for these places, there's a sign for each one. There's Exosuit upgrades. There is your MULTITOOL upgrades, spaceship upgrades, Exocraft upgrades, right? So there's a vendor for everything in this game, right in this little place right here. At first, you won't be able to pick up missions, but you'll progress through the game eventually, and that guy will give you missions, and you'll want to do some of those. They're a great way to get exosuit upgrades, spaceship upgrades, to gain ranks with different factions, all kinds of stuff. One of the ones we're going to use the most is this guy right here early on, exchange navigation data. Remember how we were collecting those navigation datas, and I was saying, hey, these are going to be really useful for getting more exosuit storage. Well, we're going to talk to him to do that later. We don't have that unlocked yet. Now, when we talk to other NPCs, you'll see that you have the option to request dialect help. So you can see that we don't understand what they're saying, but every time you talk to an NPC, you can ask them to teach you a symbol. So this symbol is going to be a one word in their language. So we'll say, hey, we want to learn a travel word. So we just learned the word for unknown. And as you go around talking to the various NPCs, and you'll learn a word of their language. This is something you can do. It's not something you have to do, but it can be useful. You'll talk to them, and sometimes they want something from you, and the quest is a lot easier to do the thing they want if you know what they're asking, and sometimes you just have to guess because, you know, they're grunting and you don't really know what they're saying. So that might be something you want to do. My first playthrough, dude, I went in and I learned all of the languages that I could, and it's really nice too because you get achievements in your catalog for learning languages that you'll be able to turn in to advance your progress and to get nanites and all kinds of stuff like that. Then you've got this guy over here and tells you he's an envoy of the Explorers Guild. So as you advance your Explorers Guild, you'll be able to collect free supplies from this guy when you want. So you want more warp hypercores, or if you want a toxic protection module, you'll be able to come here and get it for free once you get your Explorers Guild up enough. And remember, I mentioned that you can level up your Explorers Guild by doing missions at that other NPC over there. Here's where you can do your Exocraft upgrades. There's a variety of different exocraft. There's a 4-wheel vehicle, a 2-wheel vehicle. There's basically giant robot you can step inside and hop around on. I'll show you more of that later, but that's where this guy is. This is where we can upgrade our spaceship. So we talk to the NPC, we say purchase upgrade modules, and we can spend those nanites we've been collecting here to get upgrades. Now, all upgrades are useful, and as you would probably guess, S-class upgrades are going to be a lot better than C-class upgrades. So if you can get an S-class upgrade, it's always nice to do, but here, as you can see, it's 12,000, whereas the C-class is only 300. So if you want to just get a nice cheap upgrade, you can. Now, another thing that these merchants all have that's really important to be aware of is they have this thing right here. So it's an exosuit upgrade, the exosuit guy. And this you can unlock for free the first time, an extra storage slot or an extra technology slot. You get to pick. Every time you find one of these things, you get to pick if you want it to be cargo or if you want it to be a technology slot. If you want more storage space, early on, you probably are going to pick the storage space because really you can't have enough of it. And similarly, right here, multi-tool station, you can come here to the upgrade for your weapon and install expansion slots. You have to find these or purchase them. They're really expensive. You can see here 130,000 units, and that goes up each time that you buy one. So every time you buy an expansion slot, the next one gets way more expensive. So that price flies up really fast. And also you can upgrade the class of your multi-tool here with 10,000 nanites. Again, that's very expensive. It's not something that I recommend doing. Instead, just find a better multi-tool. And the way to find better multi-tools are at stations like this one. So this is just one way that you can find them. You can also find them on planets when you're doing various quests and things, but you'll be going to a lot of these space stations, and every one of them is going to have right here on the walls. There's one there and there's one here. And they're different. So you got two chances. Oh, look, here's a B class. If we wanted, we could go ahead and compare this down here. It says to buy this, it would be 133,000 units, or we could exchange it, which is basically deducts the value or trade-in price, 21,000 from the buyout price, right? And it gives it to them. Just make sure to take off your upgrades before you exchange it so that you're sure you don't lose any of the valuable upgrades that you found along the way. So that's one way to find upgrades for your weapon beyond what you find while you're out doing quests. So the Exosuit upgrader here, we can purchase upgrade modules, and it's got this different tiers, just like the spaceship. The movement modules are really nice to have early. It just gives you more jetpack, and when you get enough jetpack, you can basically fly everywhere using your punch and your jetpack. We can't punch on the space station to demonstrate, but it's nice to have. And if you're just barely shy on nanites, when you're running around these bases, you can usually find places to loot. This one gave me a few credits. It's not much, so I wouldn't spend a lot of time doing that. But you know, if you're just in a pinch and you're like only 10, 20 nanites short, usually you can walk around here and find some that you can loot somewhere in here. Another thing that you can do, besides requesting dialogue help from these guys to learn their language, is you can practice your language skills with them. Now, I know 2 words, so I can practice unknown, and he gave me another word, okay? Sometimes he'll give you nanites, sometimes he'll give you units, sometimes they'll give you exosuit upgrade. There's a lot of RNG to what you'll get as a reward, and a lot of times they'll give you nothing at all. Sometimes if you say a word that is offensive to them, like if you say kill or weapon to someone, they might take that as an aggressive move by you, a threatening move by you, and instead of giving you something, it'll tell you you just lost a rank with their faction. So we'll go practice, we'll do the other one, let's see what we get here. So we did it again, and he gave me a movement module. So a pretty good way to get, you know, some free upgrades early on. So if we come in here, now when you get a movement module like this, either bought or earned by talking to an NPC like this, you can just hover over it. It says hold down E to install. We hold down the button, it tells us, and then you can slap it in one of these spots here. There it is. So this gave us 102% increase to our jetpack tanks. That's phenomenal. We got twice the amount of lift with our jetpack that we used to have here. See, it lasts twice as long. Heck yeah, we'll take that. So you can run around talking to as many of these NPCs as you want, and you might get some really cool stuff by doing so, or you might get nothing at all. So that kind of covers how all the vendors work in here. Beyond that, you've got this guy here. We won't talk too much about him, but just know there's a fossil guy in here. This is kind of niche late game activity. You can swap fossils around if you have some, you want to swap some. And then you've got the scrap dealer here. He's just selling various things. So you can ask for coordinates to go find a ship that you can go explore out in space. And sometimes there can be some really good rewards on that ship, but you can see that's quite expensive right now. You've got this here. It's an appearance modifier. So this is where you change your appearance. You can change your race, or you could change your body shape, whatever you want it to be, different heads. And as you play the game, you'll unlock more. And when you're choosing the style of your armor, you can also change the color of it as well. There you go. We like discussing. So also what we could do is a starship fabricator. So you can construct a new starship. You'll get the various parts and you can construct a starship. This is way later, so we won't talk much about this right now, but just know that you can do it, and you can down here change the type of starship. This system has kind of been superseded by the new ability to build the much more advanced starships that they just added in a recent update. Now you can build massive starships that you can walk around in. You can have your friends ride along with you in. And then right here, you have your Starship Outfitting. So you can come in here and you can upgrade your starship. If you find upgrades to, let's say, increase the amount of storage space that it has, you can apply that augmentation here. You can also purchase storage outright for 7 million units. Again, very expensive to do it this way. So usually people won't do it that way. You can upgrade the class again for 10,000 nanites. Upgrading the class of your starship, upgrading the class of your multi-tool, right? What that's basically going to do is it's going to increase these stats over here by a bit. And then finally, the thing you'll probably use this for the most is salvage analysis. So when you have more than one starship out there, you'll find a shipwreck, you'll repair it just enough, and then that ship will become yours. You'll be able to take ownership of that ship. And then when you do, come back here, pull out the ship by going into your quick select menu, summon vehicle, and then right here, it says select other ship. You would select the ship that you want to sell and you would summon it, right? And basically whenever you're salvaging something in in this game, whether it's your multi-tool, whether you're salvaging your spaceship. It's salvaging the one you have summoned or the one you have equipped, right? So that's very important to know. You have to summon it first, then come here. Otherwise, you're salvaging the one that you're flying around in, and you don't usually want to do that. So then you would come here, begin salvage analysis after you pulled it out, and it would give you a bunch of high value scrap metal. So it doesn't give you the money outright. It gives you money with a step in between. So it just gives you a bunch of salvage material, and then you can come over to this thing right here, and you can go to the sell tab, and you can sell the material that it gave you. It'll tell you, it says this material is only good for selling. So you don't have to wonder like, oh man, am I supposed to sell this? Am I not supposed to sell this? Yes. If it says that, you absolutely are supposed to sell it. And then right here, for those of you that are coming back to this game after some time away, this is new. So you go through one of these portals right here, and this is the new shipbuilding hub. So you can build your Corvette here. These are the really big ships. I'll do a deep dive on that here later in the video. For now, we're going to work on getting you to the anomaly. Oh, and this is a good time to mention, you'll see that now the quest marker is on the Corvette workshop. This game automatically changes your quest on you constantly. So for better or worse, it always changes the quest that you're tracking to the last quest you picked up. So it moved it off of my main quest. So when you have like 10 quests in here, that will happen a lot, that it changes off the quest you're trying to do. And in a lot of cases, you won't be able to progress a quest unless it is the selected quest. So make sure to go ahead and change it back to the quest you're trying to do. Otherwise, the markers won't show up telling you where to go, and the progress won't happen, and it can be a little bit confusing. That's probably the most confusing part of this game for a new player, is the fact that that changes constantly. Now we're going to teleport back to our base using this portal here. You can see all of the bases that we have would be here. When you get settlements, you'll be able to have a settlements tab. When you've gone to other space stations, you'll be able to teleport to and from any space station in the game that you've ever visited before. So we're going to go here to this one. First base has copper, so we're going to go there. And we're back in my base, and a plant has spawned in my base. That's interesting. Get that out of the way here. I guess it's just free carbon, huh? And it's telling us to visit the base computer again. And it's telling me to go to the decoded coordinates. It says it's going to be 36 minutes away on foot. So we're not about that. I'm going to go ahead and take our ship. Possible distress signal. You can go up high to get there faster. The higher in the atmosphere you are, the faster you're going, and in space you're going super fast around the planet. So if you don't want to wait 50 seconds to get somewhere, you can just kind of fly up high and then come back down. Oh, looks like we have a wreck, and it's giving us the hyperdrive blueprint so that we can go from one star system to the next star system. Without that, we're stuck in the system that we're in. We can't change stars. So one of the cool things about these shipwrecks that it took us to here is these can be a great source of materials. So you'll notice all over this big wreck from this big frigate here, there's all these cargo pods tucked inside of here. And so you can get some good materials from this. All you do is go to where it's located here. In this case, it looks like it's going to be down here. Our terrain manipulator, and dig the cargo pod out of the ground. You can loot it. We'll take this, take the items off or destroy them. And it's going to give you a bit of a radiation leak usually when you do this. So don't be alarmed if, all of a sudden you're radiated. It'll pass. So just be aware of that. I'm not going to go grab all of them right now for time's sake here. But if this wasn't just a tutorial vid, I absolutely would go grab every single one of those drop pods. There can be some materials that you don't have the ability to create yet. It can be really nice. Oh, and by the way, some plants like this one right here, you'll learn to recognize them real quick. They will attack you if you get near them. So if we go near it, oh, it smacks us, right? Also, gassy pod. We can grab that off the top for extra oxygen again, or you could destroy these plants, like if you can't get around them, and now they can't hurt you either. All right, it wants us to install the hyperdrive, so we'll go ahead and do that. Acquire components. It says purchase microprocessors. So now this is where, until you have the ability to craft these, you'll go to a trade terminal, go fly up into space again, go back to the space station, and at this space station there's that trade terminal we talked about earlier where you can either spend your units or make some units. We run up to it, interact with it, and we look for microprocessors. Here they are. And if we look at our starship, it says we need 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And here you'll see percents next to each one of these items. What that means is at this specific terminal in this star system, this item costs 4.8% more than usual. Alternatively, sometimes it'll say like this, hey, this one's 12% cheaper. That's why it's got the negative sign and it's green, right? So anytime you've got a big difference, something selling for way more or being sold for way less, you'll see these green numbers next to it saying, hey, you get a great deal on this in this particular space station. So we'll get 5 of these that we needed. Now, typically what happens to people when they get here and it'll say, oh, great, they're here. You go to buy 5 of them and look, 137,000 units, but we only have 16,000 because we haven't been grabbing things things to sell. So what you can do is go to one of these planets and see what is available to sell here. So we'll look for a planet that looks like it's not terribly hostile to us, like this one right here. We're just gonna go here. It's got ancient bones. Those can sell really well. Otherwise, you can just dig up buried data. That sells really well as well. This terrain looks like it's gonna be really rough actually to run around looking for anything. We'll see if we can find a flatter area real quick, but if not, then we might have to change planets. Buried mineral formation, buried cache. There we go, fossil bed. That's what we want. Dig our way down to these ancient bones here. We'll grab that, and it popped up. It was a gold right there. So let's see what we got. Sell value 72,000 units. So right there with one single item, we got half of the money we needed. So when you look around on these planets and you see something like that, you see one of those gold markers like that, that can be very valuable. Now this is convenient. Right next to fossil we dug up is this eye, and it says disturb the eye. We're gonna disturb it. Something's gonna spawn though, and we don't have the means to fight it. Well, that's fortunate. I don't see it. That's good. We'll let you encounter that on your own. Here we go, 102,000 units. So those two items real quick, we can already afford to buy the thing we need. But since we're here, we're gonna go ahead and grab some more stuff while we're here, because we know we're gonna need more money than that, right? Okay, so occasionally you'll find items like this. There's quite a few different ones where you'll pick them up, but then in order to find out what you actually got, you have to analyze them or break them open. So we'll do that. And it gave us a gold nugget, which is actually another one of the ones that you have to hold down, analyze to find out what it is. And gold nuggets are just going to give you a ton of gold. Boom, there's 68 gold, which sells for 24,000 units. So hey, as you can see, you can get credits really fast. And since we're here, we'll grab this buried cache that's laying right over here. And the buried cache gave us a species record, which sells for 7,000. We can analyze it, get a bit of nanites, which hey, we need loads of those as well. All right, now that we made enough money to make our purchase, we'll just go ahead and head on back. So head back to the space station, go to the sell tab, sell whatever you decided to collect for money. Could have been salvaged data. You can see each one of these sells for 54,000. Now you need lots of those, but you can also get them very easily. So they're a perfectly fine thing to sell. We're going to sell our vigilant stone and our dangling forearms here, which means we can now afford to buy those processors. So head back to your hyperdrive, and now it's installed. But like so many things, it needs fuel. You either need a warp cell or a hypercore. The thing to the left is the easiest one to get, right? Generally speaking, that's the lowest tier of that material. So we're going to see if we can make a warp cell. Here it is, one warp cell. We need antimatter and antimatter housing, which we don't know how to make yet. Journey milestone accomplished, trader. So we got another milestone. You'll get milestones for learning languages, for taking footsteps, for warping, all kinds of stuff. So we lift off and it says that our hyperdrive has been installed, but we need antimatter, right? Which is what we figured out already. So we turn the scanner to look for antimatter here, and we press C. It automatically does that for you. You just have to press C or whatever the button is on console, and it says it's over there on this planet. Antimatter trade. Eventually, you'll be able to craft your antimatter, like so many things. So here we are at the approximate location. So we'll go ahead and land. We know the deal, right? We just pull out our visor. Hey, this is 279 units that way. Not too far again. Oh, there it is. Got the data here. Grab this navigational data again. Never pass these up. It's easy to forget. I love these loot boxes, but I also hate them because they have this animation you have to wait for. Hey, but it gave us a Vy'keen effigy. That is used to increase your reputation with the Vy'keen. So here you'll find the Forgotten Terminal. You'll use these terminals all over the place in this game. You can take these if you want. Oh, actually, my inventory's full. So get rid of this here so we can get the item that it's going to give us. A blueprint for antimatter. Even better. Now we can craft it on our own. So come in here and look, there it is, antimatter. We've already got chromatic and condensed carbon. So boom, create it, done. Craft antimatter, assemble antimatter housing. All right, and then we'll make our antimatter housing. Boom, one of each. Now we can create our warp cell, which we then can use to power our hyperdrive. Let's go. Now that you have fueled up your hyperdrive, it's time to use it to change galaxies. Okay, so the way this works is we'll open up our quick menu, select the galaxy map here. And this is a little bit overwhelming at first, but basically if you come in here and it's not working, it's probably because your hyperdrive fuel is empty and needs to be refueled. So what I like to do is enter free lick mode, press that button down there, and then you can see the path that it's telling us to take. It says go here, then go there, and then go there. So that's the general direction the game is wanting us to go in right now. So we'll go to the first destination because that's as far as we can jump right now with our hyperdrive in the state that it's at. You can upgrade it so that you can jump further later on. And here we are in a new system. So this is a yellow system again. So we're going to have a space station like always. There it is. And it's going to give us some new guidance here. Plotting route. This fuel source detected. Now, while we're on our way there, we can scan it. Let's see what it has. Ooh, salvageable scrap. That's a really good one. You can use that to build the new spaceships that they've added to the game. You know, the massive ones that you and your friends can ride in at the same time. You can basically treat it like a traveling home. It's got your storage containers. It's got places for you to craft. It's got just about everything you need on the regular basis. It's really handy. So here we are, the approximate location again. Oh, there's a crash landing right here, which I have a feeling is where we're going. All right. Damaged machinery. What's going to be inside of here? Some nanites. Okay. Atlas, we can't make that yet, but soon. Okay, so here's a crashed spaceship. So the way these work is you'll find them and they'll be damaged. We'll get inside, and in order for us to claim this for ourselves, we need to repair the pulse engine and the launch thruster. This way it can take off and leave this planet and meet us wherever we decide to sell it. Otherwise, we can't summon it there. It'll be stuck here on this planet. Now, as you can see, this one has a lot of crap inside of it. The way this works is it says this technology is critically damaged. So in order to free the slot up, we would have to go get paraffinium and pugnium, and then boom, that would repair the slot, and then it would be empty, and we could put our upgrades in it the way we can with our own spaceship. And each one of these is going to require some different materials based on the icon that you see there. This particular spaceship is coming with some of your basic upgrades. It's got deflector, shield, our hyperdrive, launch thrusters, pulse engine, all the standard stuff. So there's nothing extraordinary about this spaceship. It is B class, so it's slightly better than ours. And if you loved the way it looked or something, you could go ahead and invest time into freeing up these slots and, you know, making it a usable ship, because right now there's just so many slots that are unavailable that this isn't really usable. We can compare to see how it compares to the ship that we're in. So it's B. So, you know, you see better stats here than we have because we also don't have any upgrades. But where it lacks is in the free space for the technology and the cargo. It has hardly any because they're all damaged and need to be repaired. So what we're going to do is we are going to claim this ship, make it ours. Now we can repair it. We'll go ahead and repair this part and this part. The launch thruster, we'll go ahead and repair that as well. Now this spaceship can take off. Before you fly a ship yourself, make sure to get your shield operational so that if something starts attacking you, it doesn't immediately start damaging the ship and its parts. We'll go ahead and lift off just to confirm everything's working here. Yep, we're good. So we'll take that and summon it back on a space station and salvage it for money, because it's good enough to turn into great money, but it's not good enough for me to use. All right, my actual destination, the reason we came here, is actually over there now. This was just a happy accident. There's our destination. Once you get close enough, you can lock onto it like this if you like can't see it. Sometimes you'll be really close but not see it, and that'll help you locate where it's at. Now, every once in a while, you'll find these here. You'll see this symbol, knowledge stone. Knowledge stones teach you the language of that system. So whatever the dominant species is in that system, it's going to teach you that language. So we can click this one, and it's going to teach us one word, accept knowledge. And we learned the Viking word for Viking. A lot of times these kind of places will have 3 at a time. So there we learned the word for interloper. Viking love the word interloper. Look, we just got another milestone, beginner. We learned 5 words. Again, we can convert those milestones into nanites. There's also going to be a certain amount of them required for progressing the primary mission here. Now it says make your way to space. So now it says this planet has salvageable scrap. So since we found something that's going to be really useful later, what we're going to do is we're just going to put a base here since we're already here. And that way later when we want to farm some salvageable scrap, we have at least one location to do so. And so I advise anytime you see something that looks like something you're going to really want. So here we've got salvageable scrap, copper, paraffinium, and silver. If we need any of those things in the future, which we will, we've already got a place lined up. Now I'm going to jump on a different character that's quite a bit farther into the game to show you more of that content. And if you're still here and enjoying the video, be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment to let others know that this video is worth watching. It helps way more than you know. Thanks. Now, one problem you're going to constantly be fighting when you first start playing this game is managing your inventory size. So let's go over one of the easiest ways to fix that issue. And it starts in one of these space stations here. Now, all the way on the right here, you'll see this symbol on the first floor, and you've got the cartographer in the space station. Talk to him, and then you go to exchange specific charts. And down here, the bottom option on the first page, it's called Exosuit upgrade chart. This is what we're going to use to upgrade our exosuit. exosuit. So we'll buy a few of those, grab those, and then we'll get in our ship and we'll leave the space station. And here, as we're leaving the space station, we'll use one of these charts that we just picked up. It says drop pod detected. Now it's going to tell us where we need to go. And it's pointing at this planet over here. So all you have to do is look at your target and use your pulse engine. It'll take you right there. We're going to fly down to this thing real quick. And we're going to be able to get one expansion slot per maybe minute and a half by doing this. So we'll land right here, jump out of our ship, run over to this pod that we flew down to, interact with it, and it's going to require carbon nanotubes, sodium nitrate, and antimatter housing. So what I would do is I would craft as many as you need. So if you bought 5 maps, craft 5 carbon nanotubes, 50 sodium nitrate, and 5 antimatter housing, because then you're going to be able to just walk up to it, click 3 times, choose the slot you want. You get to pick between a technology slot or an inventory slot. So we'll take a technology slot this time for me. And then before you leave, do one other important thing. Go to the poll over here, save and chart. So now we get one of our charts back. We spent 3 to get this map to this pod, but then we get 1 back. So each one of these is only costing us 2 in reality, because it kind of refuels itself a little bit there. And what we're going to do, we're going to get back in our ship. We're going to lift off, point ourselves up into space. While we're flying there, we are going to use the next map. It's going to locate it. From up here, we can use our pulse engine to get there real quick. There it is right there. Lock onto it. And look, we're there in 5 seconds. Go down, land, rinse, and repeat. So here we go. We're about to get our second inventory upgrade really fast. So if you're ever wanting to increase the inventory space of your exosuit, which you almost certainly will want to do earlier than later, this is what you want to do. If you don't have enough navigation data to buy these charts that come to these pods, then just fly around, and every time you see a structure on the floor, land and grab the navigation data. Talk to the pole, interact with the pole. Here, we'll do one real quick just to show how easy it is. So we just got 2 expansion slots in a matter of minutes there. So we'll fly low and close to the ground here. And we're just scanning as we fly, and then right there, we found something. Okay, so there's this here. We'll go ahead and land. And look, at pretty much any point of interest, there's one of these charts. So we just got another one. So we got one when we were at the pod. We got one here just by flying for, I don't know, 20 seconds until we found this place, maybe less. So they're real easy to come by, which makes upgrading your suit real easy. There's no reason to be running around with no inventory space in this game. They make it real easy to upgrade your cargo space as well as your technology space. Okay, so that's how you will very quickly upgrade your exosuit space. But what about upgrading your spaceship's cargo? Well, that's easy as well. Come to this guy right here. It's a mission agent. He's always on the left side of the first floor, underneath this symbol right here. It's a bunch of missions is what that's supposed to be. When you talk to him, it makes more sense. The symbol they use there, right? The list of missions. So right here, you would look for a spaceship upgrade. Boom, there it is. Actually, he happens to have one. It says serious cargo, deliver an item, 1 merchant standing. So you'll level up your merchant's rank by 1, and you'll get this item right here. That's a storage augmentation. And then right there, you see a little blue spaceship. If we zoom in on it, if it's a multi-tool, you'll see a little multi-tool symbol there. So this one would give us an expansion slot for our spaceships. We'd accept this, and we'd run out and do this mission. When we come back from doing that mission, we come here, we talk to the Starship Outfitting right next to the same dude, and you go upgrade ship. And right here, it says, do you want to apply the augmentation that's in your inventory? And we could say apply it, and it lets us choose. We want to upgrade up here. So we can say apply augmentation, boom. And I happen to have more than 1 in my inventory, so I could do it again, and so on. I happen to have a few of them in storage right now, actually. So what this tells me is that it's actually pulling from my storage containers on my ship, which is probably one of the best parts about the new ship that they've added to the game. Is I actually have nothing in my cargo on my ship, but within my ship, I have all of my cargo bays that are storing all my stuff from all my storage units all over the world. And I was able to actually just pull from those to upgrade my inventory, which is absolutely awesome. That is great. So now you don't have to run back to your freighter or your base to get those items that are in deep storage. Very cool. So that's how you upgrade the inventory on your spaceship. As far as upgrading the inventory space on your multi-tool goes, same thing, right? Except you'll pick the mission up here from this guy. You'll talk to him. You'll look for a mission with that symbol and a multi-tool next to it, right? It's going to be a different color instead of blue. And then when you turn it in and you get one, you'll come up here to the multi-tool upgrade station right here. See this floating ethereal gun? Talk to that. And it says install 1 multi-tool expansion slot. So you'll say yes. And then you get to pick which one you want to install it in and tell it to apply. So upgrading the inventory on your spaceship and on your multi-tool is as simple as doing missions missions. Every space station has a different mission agent, which means if you come to this guy and he doesn't have a mission with a reward that you want, all you have to do is come over here to this portal, teleport to any other station, right? Click space stations right here, teleport to any other station that you want. Say we want to go to this one instead. And when we talk to this mission agent, he's going to have a completely different set of missions with completely different rewards. So we run on over here to this guy and let's see what he's got. He's got a couple of missions for nanites, Starship launch fuel, but he doesn't have any for storage upgrades for either our weapon or our spaceship. So, you know, if that's what we were looking for, we'd go to a new space station, talk to the guy, and we'd rinse and repeat that until we found the rewards we wanted to. Very easy. If you've built one of the brand new Corvettes that were added to the game, then you can also come into your mission radar on your spaceship and you can check to see if one of the rewards that you want is here as well. As you can see, it's got a mission that gives us 400 Quicksilver, which is actually a really great reward. It's one of the best rewards you can get, that Quicksilver, because it's one of the hardest things to come by in this game. So we'll accept that. And to get that one done, we just got to go kill 27 creatures, I think it said. So easy. Now, the next thing I want to talk about here is the anomaly. So the anomaly is something you're going to discover really early in the game. Well, that kind of depends how many side missions you do while you're following the primary missions. But if you're focusing on those primary missions, you'll get to the anomaly pretty early. And I do recommend kind of focusing those primary missions until you unlock the anomaly, because it's going to be a very, very useful location in this game. So the way we get to the anomaly after we unlock it is we use our quick menu, we pull that up, we scroll over to the anomaly right here. It says summon space anomaly. We click that and boom, it brings the anomaly to you. Now the anomaly does a few very important things for you. One of which is this is the multiplayer hub. So when we land here, you'll see other real players running around. As you can see right there, there's some name tags popping up. Those are people running around the game, playing the game just like we are. They're doing their own quests, doing their own thing. But if we wanted to, we could invite them to our party. We could play with them, right? We could do all of that stuff if we wanted to. We could turn this into a full-on multiplayer game. Over here, use the teleport pad that they put in for these new spaceships. And then right here, the first thing you run into is the Nexus. This is the multiplayer mission hub. So what we could do is interact with this and pick up multiplayer missions. And then if you choose a mission and wait a while, it'll let other people join your party. Then you can choose when to start it. And you can go with a team of 2 people, 3, 4 people, and you can do the mission. And you can also do them solo. So you can just pick the mission and then start it right away. And it'll say, hey, do you want to start this mission without other people in your group? And you can say, yeah. And I've never had a problem doing the missions solo. However, some of the missions are designed for a group. And so it might be just a tad hard for a brand new player, you know, without any upgrades or anything to do those missions solo. But if you really want to do it, I have no doubt that you'll be able to. I didn't struggle with any of them. So this guy right here to the right of the Nexus is your Quicksilver Synthesis Companion. So you'll talk to him when you do those missions. Some of the best ones will reward you with Quicksilver, which you can come here and spend. This is basically what would normally be a microtransaction store in your typical game. They would charge you real money for some random currency, and then you would come here and buy cosmetics and maybe ships and things like that with it. But in No Man's Sky, you earn this by playing the game, this currency, this Quicksilver. You just earn it. They don't have any microtransactions in this game. So you earn everything by playing the game. So you can get 3,200. You can spend that on this void egg here, and you can get yourself a really cool ship. But the thing to know about this is there are a few missions involved, and it's going to span over the course of a few days because there's some real-time timers that cause this to take a few days. So you're not going to have that ship the day that you buy the void egg, but you will get it eventually if you do those quests over a course of a few days. Beyond that, you can come in here and get some jetpack cosmetics, some emotes, all kinds of stuff, you know, decorations. Now going to the right, we'll kind of go around this ship. See, this will be counterclockwise. Okay, so we've got Helios here. We can talk to Helios and we can give them data that we find out in the world, and he's going to give us nanites, a good chunk of them right there. See, there's 600 nanites. That's great. And we can talk to Ares in a very similar way. We come, we talk to Ares, and we can turn in milestones. So when you're running around the game, a milestone will pop up, music will play, and it'll say, you just took 15,000 steps, or you just learned your 50th word, right? Those milestones, you can turn those in here and get nanites this way as well. You can also turn in materials. Like I could turn in a gold nugget. We'll go ahead and do that. And that'll give us some nanites as well. See, it gave us 3 nanites, which really that gold nugget is worth a lot more to me financially than 3 nanites. So most of the time, in my experience, this exchange has not been worth it. Instead, I would stick to turning in your milestones. And then more often than not, these things are going to be worth more units than they are nanites. So I haven't really found it useful to use option number 2 here. And then you can also purchase upgrades from him. You've got some modules for your spaceship, your scanner, Exocraft Exocraft. So this is just another place where you can browse modules if you want to. Next to him, we have Cronus. Cronus is somebody that you can give meals to. You can present food for critique. So if we do that here, we can say, hey, taste this carbon nanotube, which he probably won't like. And he says, I do not believe anything more unpleasant has touched my lips. So if you get a really tasty looking meal, you can come here, present it to him, see what happens. And then next to him, we have the egg sequencer. So if you go out and you make an animal into your companion by feeding it, right? You make it your companion. In order to get an egg, you have to find a wild animal, feed it pellets, which is very easy to do. You just walk up to it, hold the interact button, and it'll feed it a pellet that's in your inventory. And you can feed it pellets and make it your companion, and you can get it to lay eggs and give you those eggs. And then when you do, you click here, you can put your egg in here. And now what this is going to do is you can affect the outcome of this egg. You can give it materials. Like if we gave it this right here, it's going to decrease the weight and the height of that egg. Dose 38%. So you can put ingredients here that will decrease it, but you can also put ingredients in here that will increase it. And then the more of that ingredient that you put, so if we put this here, it's going to decrease it by 55%. So play around with the different materials that you put in there to affect the weight and the height, as well as the dose. And you can do that for the anatomy, the coloring, and the personality, right? You can put different things in there, see what the different outcomes are. And then when you're happy with the effects, you can begin the process. And that way you can get your perfect companion, and you can keep doing that. So when that egg hatches, you can then get an egg out of that one, and you can make it bigger again, and you can repeat that process and get a bigger and bigger and bigger version of whatever it is you want, or a smaller and smaller version, or whatever traits you're going for. Now we continue around. This is probably the most important room in this entire place right here. So this room, all the way around it, it's dotted with little terminals that you can buy blueprints from. So this is where you'll be able to learn how to craft anything in the game. If you get to a point in this game where you don't know how to make something, right? It says, hey, in order to upgrade this building, you need this material, or in order to proceed this quest, you need this material. This is where you'll come. If you can't make it yet, come here. Your answer is here, most certainly. So we'll go clockwise around this room here. You can see a spaceship. That's because this is where you buy your starship upgrades. So talk to the guy, research starship upgrades, and you've got a nice little tech tree here. You work your way down from the top, you unlock various things, and you can hover over any one of these to see what they do. On the right side, you've got all your weapons. In the middle, you've got your thruster upgrades so that you can more easily launch from the surface of planets without running out of fuel. This one right here, launch auto thruster, is really nice because it charges your thruster whenever your ship is parked, right? So you land, you go do some stuff, and while you're doing your things, it recharges, and you probably won't ever have to refuel it again after you install this. You don't have to worry about that, which means if you land and run a really long ways from it, you can always summon it to you without having to worry that, oh man, I forgot to refuel it. Now I got to run way back to my ship. So really like that one. And then your hyperdrive upgrades are right here. So to get to the red stellar bodies, you need this cadmium drive. To get the green ones, you need this emerald drive. And then finally, to get to the blue systems, you need this indium drive. So whenever you need to go to the next type of system, this is where you'll come and purchase that upgrade. Then you got some scanners and then some other propulsion stuff here. So that's your starship upgrades. Now, whenever you need something for your base, whether it's a new type of structure or a new type of refiner or whatever you need, this is where you'll be able to find it here. So this is going to cost salvage data. So always make sure you're picking up that salvage data out there. Getting all of this stuff unlocked is going to require a ton of it. And not to mention, salvage data sells really well. It sells for something like 54,000 a pop. So if you check out the stuff that's in here, you've got landing stations so that you can land at your base. Although this doesn't appear to work very well with the new Corvettes that they've added to the game. My Corvette is like 5 times the size of this landing pad. So I wonder if they're going to add a new type of landing pad that'll solve that problem. And then here we've got refiners. The first refiner, you put 1 ingredient in there and you get 1 ingredient out. The medium refiner is going to let you put 2 ingredients in there to get your more advanced materials that require 2 inputs. And then the large refiner is going to let you put 3 inputs. Now, if you make your Corvette, you're going to be able to bypass this because your Corvette has a refiner that you can install on it, and that goes straight to the 3 input refiner, which is fantastic. Other things to be aware of is these autonomous mining units. These are great. Like, one thing you're going to need a lot of is copper, because you're going to need a lot of chromatic chromatic metal, this stuff right here, and you make that from copper. So if you put some of those units on a copper planet, right, make a base, set up that unit, have it always mining copper, you can put 5 of them on one copper deposit. So don't harvest the copper with your weapon, just place those on the copper and then come check on them every once in a while and harvest your copper, refuel them, and you'll make tons of copper that way. Next, we have the Exosuit Research. So this is going to be your tech tree for your exosuit. Works very similar to the rest of them here. You got your jetpack upgrades. On the left, you've got some fun stuff over here. You've got the personal refiner. So when you're out and about and running and you just need to refine something, you don't want to summon your little refiner, you can just have this going and it refines on you. So you can just open your inventory and grab whatever it was refining because it's happening on your person. Next to that, you've got the trade rocket, which is really nice because if your inventory is full and you know you've got some stuff you could sell, you can just use this trade rocket to send those items off for sale. So you load it up with some items, launch your trade rocket, and boom, now you've got some space in your inventory and you didn't have to destroy whatever it was that you could have sold. Really nice. Next here, we've got the multi-tool research station. When we interact with this one, you can see there's a host of different type of weapons, but the big thing here to be aware of that you're going to want to interact with earlier than later, if you haven't unlocked it in a timely manner through the primary missions, you're going to want to grab this advanced mining laser so that you can harvest those rarer, more valuable materials. And this optical drill here gives you 50% more resources mined for time spent mining, which is really nice to have. You've even got a fishing rod here, right? So there's lots of great stuff in here for you to upgrade your multi-tool. And then on the left side here, you got loads of different weapons. You start with the bolt caster, but you can also turn your weapon into a barrel ionizer, plasma launcher, blaze javelin, scatter, right? Pulse spitter, right? Lots of different weapons that you can turn it into. And really it comes down to personal preference, what playstyle you like, what you enjoy using. All of them can be made very, very effective by using them with the proper upgrade modules. And right here, we've got the synthesis laboratory. This is a really important one. So no matter what you're doing while you're playing this game, you're going to constantly be installing modules, whether it's in your spaceship or repairing modules or doing something that's going to require these materials right here constantly. And until you have the ability to craft them, you have to purchase them from a space station, which means finding a space station that's actually listing them for sale or finding some station on a base that's listing for sale. And that can be a bit of a headache. So when you need something from here that you don't know how to make, come to the space station and pick up that blueprint, learn it, right? You're going to want to learn all of these eventually. This whole page, you're going to want to learn. Now, primary missions will also teach you some of these. So if you want to wait and learn them that way, you can, but there's no reason to wait if you don't want to. And then on the right side here, you got the warp cell, which you're absolutely going to need and unlock early. And then you've got your Atlas passes, 1, 2, and 3. Get 1 right away because those little red barrels that require Atlas 1 often have some really useful stuff in them, including these materials, like very often they do. And then version 2 is nice to have. You'll find rooms that you can't enter unless you have an Atlas 2 pass. And sometimes there can be some nice little haul of materials in those. You know, it's nothing crazy, nothing life-changing. And then 3, same thing. When you can, go ahead and get the 3rd version of it. You won't run into anything that needs version 3 until way late in the game. So don't rush yourself to getting this. You've got dozens of hours before you'll run into something that needs version 3. And then finally here, you have your Exocraft Research. In this game, there are a lot of different Exocraft that you can create. So here you can get all your drive upgrades, your, weather protection and all kinds of stuff for the various different Exocrafts in this game. If we come back to the construction module over here, you can see the different types of Exocraft you can have. You've got like a bike, you've got this 8-wheeler here, you've got a submarine, you've got the Minotaur, which is basically like a mech suit that you can put on. So there's lots of different types of Exocraft that you can craft and then summon when you're on a planet to get around it more easily so you don't have to run on foot all the time. And that's everything that's in this room. Like I said, it's a really important room because anytime you get to a point where you need to make something or you need to craft something or you need to construct something that you can't construct or craft yet, come here, pick up the blueprint, and you'll be good to go. In this room, directly across from that is the 2 NPCs that you'll be talking to a lot for the primary missions. They're just kind of West NPCs. And then in here, we've got the portal. This portal works like every other portal in the game, but it also lets you go to featured bases. If you want to go peek in on someone's construction that they're featuring and see a really cool base or something, you can do that. Otherwise, you can just use it to go to your bases, your freighter, your settlement, and space stations that you've been to. Then we've got this NPC right here. This guy will ask for Sentinel parts, so just come by, turn them in, see what happens. And then right next to him is the multi-tool decommissioning. So this is really important because you can only hold 6 multi-tools. When you get more than 6 multi-tools, you won't be able to pick another one up. So you'll find a multi-tool, might be really valuable, and you can't pick it up without dropping one of the ones you have or something, right? So that's kind of tragic because you're just leaving leaving money on the floor. So you'll interact with the multi-tool and you can scrap. It says claim scrap. So it's going to scrap whatever weapon you have equipped. So just be very careful, because in order to scrap a weapon, you have to first equip it, which is a little bit counterintuitive to me. I feel like from that menu, you should be able to choose which one you want to scrap instead of scrapping the one you have equipped. But hey, so we'll come in here, we will go to the cog, and then we will select the swap multi-tool option. And then here you can swap to a different multi-tool. So this is our main, this is not. Pick this one. Now when we interact with it, it says claim scrap worth, and this would scrap the one that we have equipped, and then it would go back and then it would automatically equip one of our other multi-tools in our inventory. So claim the scrap. When you scrap a weapon or a spaceship, it doesn't give you the money directly. It gives you a bunch of stuff that has to be sold for money. So this scrap isn't useful for anything else. It's just useful for selling. So it's kind of like this extra step. I guess the purpose of that is you could go to a star system that maybe buys that scrap for more than the one that you're in. That's kind of the potential upside of getting that scrap. All right, so that is the anomaly. You can come here, you can see other players, interact with other players, play with other players, but you can also buy all the blueprints that you will ever need in this game. They're all for sale here at one of those NPCs in that one room. And then also on the right side, you've got those two different NPCs that you can convert your progress in this game. You know, whether it's discovering flora or whether it's getting milestones, you can convert that progress into nanites so that you can purchase all of the stuff you're going to need while playing the game. Okay, now let's talk about creating your own starship, aka your Corvette. It's this massive ship that you can eventually create that you and your friends can be in at the same time, traveling around the world together, right? It's a multiplayer starship, but it's also so much more than that. You can create storage pods in there. In fact, let's just kind of walk around mine really quick to show you a little bit of what it's capable of here. You've got the mission board here where you can pick up missions rather than going to the Nexus, and you can do those here. You've got this refiner unit where you can get a 3-input refiner straight away and put that in your starship. You've got the cockpit up there where you fly, and then you also got storage containers. These are linked to all your other storage containers in the game, right? So if we open up our build menu, we've got storage containers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 9. And whenever you put storage container 0 in your starship, and when you put it in your home base, and when you put it in your freighter, that is the same storage container with the same items in it. They're linked. All the zeros are linked together. So you'll be able to access anything you put in 0 anywhere you put a cargo rack 0. Same thing with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The best thing about this cargo rack appears to be when you put this on your starship, now this cargo is with you wherever you go. So if you walk up to the vendors inside of this space station, they can pull from these cargo containers. Like when you want to go upgrade your inventory space, for example, if you've got the augmentation in your cargo, it'll pull from there and upgrade your inventory. Same with your starship, your multi-tool, right? You can do all that from there. Very, very handy. And you don't have to fly back to your cargo container somewhere and grab it anymore. On top of that, you've got a little cooking station that you can put in here, right? All that stuff. The one thing about this place is every time a ship flies over you, it shakes your whole screen though. I wonder if they could turn that down. It's like, feels like you're in an earthquake the whole time you're in your starship out here. Okay, so that is the starship. It's amazing. And as you can tell, it's really big. I actually get to run around in there. The way you craft one is you come to this post right here. To get to this post, you just use the little teleport. So your little spaceship will land right here, you know, and then you'll run over these. Any one will work. Each one takes you to a different platform. So always go into the same one that you came out of when you're trying to get back to your starship. We interact with this Corvette workstation here. First thing you're going to do as a new player is purchase modules. So this is going to require you to have a bit of credits. Right? You're going to need some units, and you're going to buy at least one of each of these things here. And then you'll be able to use those to create a ship. So once you've used those, you'll come here and you'll say create new Corvette, and it'll tell you in the top right what you have and what you're missing. It says no landing gear installed. So we'll toggle our menu. In the top left there, it says toggle menu with Z and paint your Corvette with G. So we will first pick the landing gears that it says we're missing. So put those, you know, where you think you're going to want them, like that maybe, right? And then we need a hab, right? This is the space where you can install those modules, the cargo, the crafting module, and the area that you walk around. That's what these are. So put some of them in here like that. And then it says we don't have the cockpit yet. So we'll put a cockpit. At first, you're only going to have the Thunderbird class. So you'll put that on there, right? And then no reactor installed. So you'll grab a reactor that you have access to. And then it's going to say no thrusters installed. So we've got thrusters. Pick one of the thrusters you have unlocked. Lab slap them bad boys on the back of this thing. No access way installed, so you need a way to get in. So we'll get a landing bay, right? Put that there. And then no weapon system installed. So you'll grab some turrets and slap those somewhere. Boom. Now, if you wanted, you could be done right here. You can definitely fly this thing around just like this if you want to. Alternatively, you could spruce it up a bit by using, you know, some of these other pieces to make it more spaceship looking, right? You could put this here. You have to flip things, right? They're facing one way by default. So if you want this wing on the other side, you have to use the flip button down there. It says press E, flip it, slap that on there, right? It's starting to look more and more like a spaceship. And they've got lots of things here. And pay attention when you're placing thrusters and things like that on your spaceship. Pay attention to the effect it has in the top right. You've got damage potential, shield strength, hyperdrive range, maneuverability. Those can be impacted by the items that you're putting onto your spaceship or Corvette here. Then by pressing G on PC on whatever button it says for you console guys out there, love you. And you've got metallic finish, right? So for mine, I went with red and light gray and metallic finish. And that ended up looking pretty nice, I thought. So we go like this. And then now we just tap our paint button while hovering over everything and it paints it all that color so that you get a ship that matches, right? You don't want everything to be different colors probably. There you go. Now our ship is red and you can keep adding more flair to this thing. You know, maybe some of the corners look a bit jagged, so you can slap some stuff on here that kind of gives it more of a spaceship feature, right? It's starting to look a little bit more like a spaceship. That's what all that stuff is for. Lots of stuff, you know, your creativity is the limit here. So have fun with that. Once you're done, you can try to leave and it'll say, do you want to store this design for later? If you're not done, you can store the design for later. Maybe you want to keep working on it, or you can finalize the current design and you can fly this around and then you can always come back later and continue modifying it, right? So just because you finalize the design doesn't mean you're done modifying it forever. Just like my main starship right here, right? I can come to this and I can modify my primary starship. I can start adding stuff onto this thing or taking it off. Maybe I want more space. I didn't make it big enough. Maybe I made it too big. It's a pain in the butt, right? So you can modify it here. Now, every time you craft a starship, it appears the results are going to be a C-class starship. So how do you upgrade that? Well, what you do is you come here, go through your portal when you land, run through to the back to the starship upgrade area. Same place we upgrade the starship inventory. And this is the Starship Outfitting station. And you go upgrade starship and you go to upgrade class. So you could upgrade the class of your starship. So if I wanted to take this from a C class to a B class, I can just hold this down and then boom, I've now upgraded my starship to a B class starship, which is going to increase the stats, base stats of the starship, you know, and then all of the stuff we slot in here, all the technology is going to further increase those stats. And if you want to upgrade it again, you can use more nanites to upgrade it again. Each time you go up a class, it gets more expensive to upgrade the class. The only thing that I recommend getting your Corvette sooner than later. You can do this just about any time. All you have to do, build your Corvette, like I said, go farm a bunch of units, go farm maybe 15 to 20 million units, and then come here, go through the portal, interact with the station, and then purchase the modules that you need, purchase basic modules, and then there you go. You'll buy at least one of everything, more of other things that you want more of, and you can create your Corvette, your new type of starship right away. And like I mentioned, the benefits of that are you can have your cargo bays on there to store everything. You can have your refiner on there. It's really, really nice to have. There's one last thing that we haven't touched on here. So under purchase modules, you've also got advanced modules. So in order to get advanced modules, what you do is you click on the item that you want. Maybe you want one of these things that you don't yet have, right? And you can click on it and then you can make an offer. So you can say, hey, I'll give you 2 of these right here. And it says, okay, if you give this, you have a 62% chance of being given this. Okay, so let's see, I'll give you one of these as well. You know, really want that. Oh, we're at 99%. Make offer, right? So we make that offer and then boom, it's in our inventory. We get this thing right here. That's how you get the advanced parts. Now, how do you get these parts that you're trading for? So glad you asked. What you do is really easy, actually. So what you're going to do is look for a planet with salvageable scrap is one of the listed things, right? You'll scan the planet and then this list will come up and it says it has salvageable scrap, frost crystal, copper, dioxide, cobalt, right? So you find one with salvageable scrap on it and then go ahead and land anywhere. All right, so we've landed. Now we get off our ship and we look around and we're going to look for this symbol right here. It looks like a little Wi-Fi symbol. It says salvage container right there. So we hold the E down and we're locked in onto it and we're going to head over there. Okay, here we are at the salvage container we marked. More than likely, you'll have to dig it up. Sometimes it's sticking out, but usually it's going to be buried on you. And then you just shoot it with your laser. And you'll see on the right side, we're going to start getting parts. There it is, Speedbird nacelle. So we go into our inventory and we got some parts here. We got the Speedbird nacelle. So that is what we would then go and trade in for the advanced parts at the Corvette crafting station. Okay, that's how easy it is. Whenever you come to one of these planets, make sure to get more than one, right? So that you definitely have enough to get whatever you want. You'll just look around again until you find one. Oh, there's another one. So you'd mark it and you'd head over to it. When you're doing something like this, I definitely recommend summoning your Exocraft. Makes getting around this planet a lot easier. So have your summoning station here and then use your little Exocraft to get around. And here's the next one. And this one gave us a swept casing ×2. Yeah, so a lot of times you'll get way more than one item. Sometimes you'll get 3, maybe even 4. The last one gave me 1, and I think that was the first time I only got 1 item from it. So usually you get quite a bit to trade for each one that you drive over to and pick up. Okay, so that's everything you need to know about your Corvettes. One great way to get nanites is actually this thing called Runaway Mold. So Runaway Mold is this seemingly innocuous material with no purpose until you put it into a refiner. And when you do that, it converts the runaway mold into nanites. Now, there's a couple ways to get runaway mold. One is by upgrading slime in the refiner until it turns into runaway mold, but this isn't very efficient. It takes a lot of slime to make the runaway mold and then to make the nanites, and the time for the payoff is maybe not quite there. However, if you find runaway mold balls like this, it's absolutely worth it. So the reason I dug this little pit here is because they run away when you hit them, right? They all fall. So we're going to put that there. Makes it easier to keep track of them. So that's what happens if you don't have a pit, right? It just runs away, right? It's going to roll on over there wherever it wants to. We'll come back here to our pit that we made, and now we can just shoot them all. You can see there, just one of them gave me loads of runaway mold. Okay, now we just take those back to the refiner. So when you get back to your refiner with your runaway mold, you just slap it in there, and then look, it says it's going to turn it into nanite clusters. There it go. We're just printing nanites now. Real easy. So whenever you see that runaway mold, it is worth it, and then just slap it in your Corvette's crafting unit, and then just grab it when it's done. Easy peasy, easiest nanites of your life. All right, next let's talk about settlements. So in order to find a settlement, you can come to a cartographer in every space station, talk to him, say exchange specific charts, scroll all the way to the last option, and it says settlement chart. Go ahead and purchase one of those, and then use it, and then open up your inventory, plot the route, and go find it. Now, when you follow that chart, you'll eventually get to something like this. Here, you walk up to the middle of this settlement. There'll be a hub interface, and you'll be able to interact with it, and it'll ask, do you want to become the leader of this settlement? And you say yes. Now, one of the things you'll be able to do as the leader of the settlement is choose which buildings to upgrade and when, and there's a bit of strategy to this. So you can see here, if we upgrade this building, it's going to increase the productivity by 40,000, and it's going to give us 1% to our citizen happiness. We want our productivity to go up so that this settlement can eventually make goods for me. Because when you get the settlement, it's going to be massively in debt. So you need that productivity to eventually make more money than the settlement has lost. And we look here at our settlement status. You can see here that we are making a little over 1 million units per day. Our maintenance cost is only 310,000 units per day. So when we started, we had a massive debt down here, and we were eating away at that debt. Well, at first, we were making like 10,000 units per day, and we were losing like 400,000 units per day. Okay, so we eventually got this number up, and we got this number down, and then we got ourselves out of debt. And once you get yourself out of debt, your settlement will start crafting stuff for you, just like this one is here. It's going to use that excess productivity to make things. So we can come here and we can tell it what we want it to make. Something I wanted to make is frigate fuel. It would be great to have more of that than I need. So we'll put them both on frigate fuel here. And down here below what it's making, you have settlement features. So occasionally you're going to get an option that pops up. Like you're going to be told that your settlement needs you to make a decision. Maybe there's people arguing and you got to decide who to punish. Maybe someone wants to go out on an expedition and you got to decide, is it safe? Should they go or not? There's all sorts of options that will arise from your citizens of your settlement. So here we have one. And in this case, it says the overseer will be aware of the settlement's ionization chamber and the effects it has on productivity. Critical components are now showing signs of wear and tear and require renovation. How should the ionization chamber be renovated? Shut down for refurbishment or expedite live repairs. So it's telling us what the results are here. We're going to lose productivity temporarily, or we could expedite live repairs now. It's going to cost more, but we'll get more productivity out of it. If we pick this one here, it says productivity increased by 17,000 units per day, but we got a little bit of settlement debt, right? So now we look at it, we have a little bit of debt that we're working off. Time until cleared, 28 minutes. So when that debt is cleared, then we'll start producing again. Oftentimes when we make one of these decisions, it's going to give us a buff or a debuff to our settlement based on what we pick. Sometimes you basically choose wrong. You pick the wrong person, you do the wrong thing, and it's going to give you a debuff. It looks like I've done fairly well here. I've gotten pretty lucky. My last few pages have all been positive here. Decreasing maintenance, improving happiness, and increasing productivity, right? So lots of buffs coming in here over the last many squabbles and decisions I've had to make. If ever you walk up to one of these upgrade terminals, right, outside of a building, you interact with it, and it says that you need a material that you don't have, remember, you can always go to the anomaly and learn how to craft that material. If it's something that you can craft, you can buy the blueprint there. If it's a material that you have to find on another planet, or if it's a material that you have to go get from like a blue star, a green star, or a red star, then you can go to the anomaly and get the hyperdrive requirement that's going to allow you to travel to those systems, right? So the anomaly will have a lot of the solutions to the dead ends you might run into here. And sometimes you might just get to a point where a certain building is requiring something you just don't have a way to get yet. So you can focus on upgrading the other buildings, or you can just come back at a later time after you've progressed the primary missions a little bit. So what's the point of all of this? Well, really it's for the outputs that you can make here. You can make outputs that just sell for a lot of money, or you can make outputs that you need and you're going to use. So it's entirely up to you. Okay, eventually you'll be flying around and you'll run into a freighter and its frigates, and it'll be under attack by pirates. And if you kill the pirates attacking it, it'll invite you on board. It'll say, hey, come on board and, you know, let's have a talk. So you can fly up to the frigate's entrance. It's these blue doors here on the side. Land on the frigate once you get out of your spacecraft, and then you go up the portal, interact with the commander, and he'll say, hey, thanks so much for your help. Do you want to be the commander of this frigate? You say, sure. Yeah, I will be the guy running this place. Yeah, that sounds like a nice idea. As a result of having this freighter, you can now collect frigates. So if we look, we can manage our fleet. We have all these frigates we've collected. That's what these guys are here. These littler ships. It looks small here, but they're still massive ships. These are big ships, right? Freighter's huge. These are just a little less huge. And you go around collecting them in much the same way you got this freighter. So when you're flying around, you'll see a bunch of frigates just like this. You fly up to them, go open up your comms with your quicks menu, hail them, and they're going to say, hey, we offer our services to you. Do you want us to join your fleet? So you can inspect it and you can look at what they have. Frigate is C class, so he's not great. That's the lowest class you can be. He doesn't have good stats on combat or exploration, but he's got great stats on trade. So if you really needed someone to handle the trade missions and you didn't have someone that could do that well yet, you could consider grabbing this guy. He costs 700,000 units. So these are not cheap, especially early in the game when you first start this. These can be pretty expensive to collect because you can have up to 30 of them, 30 different frigates. And when they're each costing you $1 million or more, you know, you're going to burn through a lot of cash. So the cheapest ones are around 700,000, but it goes up from there as you get B, A, and S tier frigates. So whenever you find one of them, there's usually multiple nearby. You can kind of window shop. You can look at them all. So we'll fly to this guy here, who's now, he's saying, hey, what about me? Talk to him. This is also C, but wow, his stats are actually really good for a C class. He's got 9, 10, 8, and 27, and he's only 600,000 units. So we'll go ahead and accept this guy. And now he is in our fleet, which means we can send him out on missions to bring back valuable rewards. So let's go see what that looks like real quick. Here's another one. He's already B class. So we'll go ahead and pick him up. So once you've collected some frigates, you can head over to your freighter. You can either land there or you can teleport there from one of your bases once you have one unlocked and a teleporter built inside. Now, when you land on a freighter, the guy will ask you, do you want to buy my freighter? And we can look at his stats and decide, hey, is this something we want? Do we like the look of it? Do we like the class of it? Do we like how much storage it has, right? Do you like all of that? If not, then you can decline. If you want it, you can buy it. The first one you get is free, but only the first one you get. So if you pull up to a freighter and the guy offers to let you have it for free and you don't feel like it's good enough, you want to shop for something better, you can decline it and they'll keep offering to give you their freighter for free until you accept one. After you accept one, now you're gonna have to pay for it, right? So just kind of keep that in mind before you accept the first one. Maybe shop around, get something you like the look of, something you like the stats on. Now, once you have found some frigates, you can head on back to your freighter. And once you're back on your freighter, you can send your guys out on missions. So you talk to the navigator right here next to the globe, and you say view potential expeditions. Look at this. And the way these work is the symbol at the front. This one is industrial, right? It tells you at the top. This one's balanced, combat, balanced, balanced. So this tells you what type of frigates you want to send on these missions. So since this one's industrial, we click on this and we assign a ship to this expedition. We'd want to pick someone that is good at industrial. So it's highlighted that column for us to make that easy to see. And so we'd want to pick someone that has a really high number, like this one right here, 31. We could put him on the mission. Then it tells us out here, okay, our fleet rating is 2 stars. The difficulty rating is only 1. So there's a really good chance that this mission goes well. They come back with some nice rewards. The higher your fleet rating, the more likely they are to come back successfully. Now you'll notice if you look at my fleet, everybody's damaged right now. Everyone's critically damaged because they went out, their mission didn't go well, and they had to come back because if they went any further, there was a chance for a total catastrophic failure, causing their ship to be lost entirely. Fortunately, we can repair them, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. This mission right here is combat patrol. So you'd pick someone with great combat, right? You can see their combat stats. That's the first column. So we'd put maybe this guy right here on the mission and maybe this guy right here, right? And then we'd check, and after we put them on there, we'd be like, okay, we got 2 stars. The mission is 2 stars. So that's kind of dangerous. Maybe we would want to get this one up to 3 to feel like we had a better chance of surviving that expedition. You can upgrade them with upgrade modules. So you can learn how to craft these at the anomaly, and then you can craft these things that give them a better chance of succeeding. You can give them fuel oxidizers, temporary frigate upgrade that lasts for 1 expedition. So these are single use, and it causes them to go faster than usual. And other ones might increase their chance of succeeding in various situations. So you kind of choose to load them up with those items to expedite them and to increase their odds of success. As for the balance missions, you'll notice if you come here, no column is highlighted this time. So that means you want to have some decent stats for all stats. So no matter what they run into, they're going to be okay. So you'd want some decent gun stats, some decent exploration stats, some decent industrial stats, and some decent trading stats, right? You'd want all of those to be decent, or to have a few different ships so that they counteracted each other's weaknesses. The other thing worth noting here is it tells you how long the duration is. So 5 hours and 15 minutes. This is real life time. So if you send them out on this mission, then you'll have to wait, until 5 hours later to see what your rewards are. Or this one right here, balance expedition, it says 7 hours and 34 minutes. You start it and then go to bed, come back the next day, and you can see what your loot is. Now, after you've sent them out on a mission, eventually, they'll finish that mission up, or they'll call you halfway through it and be like, hey, we've experienced really bad damage. We think we should probably come back. What do you want us to do? And you can decide, hey, risk it all, keep going, or you can say, come back, we'll repair you and we'll send you out again. But if they finish the mission, they'll come back and you need to debrief them right here. That's what this symbol is. You need to have one of these fleet command stations for each group that is out, right? So if you have one of these, you can only send one group on one mission. If you have 5 of these, you can send 5 groups on 5 different missions. So you'll end up with a few of these. Now, this one is ready to debrief. It made it, came back. So when we talk to it, it says debrief commander, and he's going to tell us everything that happened. And you can get a pretty entertaining little log here. You can choose to read it or speed right through it, but it tells you all the log entries. So the first thing that happened was all of this, and then we got 5 iridescite, and this happened, and we got 5 more iridescite, and then this happened, and we got 250,000 units, right? Then this happened, and we got another 274,000 units, and it keeps going. Another 300,000 units. Oh, we got 1,300 activated emerald from this experience right here. Then almost 400,000 in log entry 1657, and then another 650,000, another 5 iridescite, and then the fleet returned home. And in the top right of our screen, we see all of those materials pop up, and you can see how incredibly profitable this is for something almost 2 million units I just got. So I sent them out on a mission, let them go. It took real-time hours. I come back when they're done, and boom, just get 2 million gold. Now, like I mentioned, sometimes there's going to be damaged frigates. They're going to come back damaged, and you probably don't want to send them out, all broken. You want to repair them before you send them out again. So when they are damage ridden, you can see their icon, instead of being green like it was earlier when we found them, it is now red. So we're going to fly up to this one. It says, hey, our ship's damaged. We'll say, let's inspect. So he'll do that, and we say, tell us what the damaged components are. And now he's marked them. We've landed on the ship. We can look around this frigate. Oh, there's one right there. 76, one right there. There's one right there, one right there. So now we've got to head on up to those damaged areas and repair them. And the way repairs work in this part of the game are just like like everywhere else. You interact with it. It's going to tell you, hey, I need 50 silver to repair this. Okay, click on it. Boom, that one's repaired. Then you just go to the next one. It says it needs silver and ferrite dust. Easy. So it's not necessarily going to be asking you for, you know, really difficult materials to get a hold of. Now, the last big thing to be aware of that you can do in your freighter is you can build. So using the same button that you press to build on planets, use that. And now you get build options here on the freighter. You can build storage, right? All 9 of your storage containers. You can build cultivation chambers. You can build fleet command rooms. That's what you need to send your guys out on missions. You can build a teleport chamber so you can teleport to and from this thing really easily. So you definitely want to get one of those up so you can come back and get your loot and send them out on more missions all the time. So you can make this a home away from home if you want to. You can even put a shop here so you can come here to sell. If you happen to be here and you got a lot of loot, you can come here, you can sell stuff that you've collected. Very handy. And then over here, you come to this side of the globe in the middle here next to your navigation guide. There's an option all the way around this thing, really. Right here, you've got your upgrade control. So if you want to upgrade your freighter so that it can teleport farther, add more storage to it, base and part upgrades, right? All kinds of stuff in here. So look, it's got its own little skill tree that you can invest in and unlock to improve it. You can customize its appearance. You can reset it if you've created something atrocious that you can't seem to fix. And so there is a lot going on here that you can do with your freighter alone, right? This thing can be upgraded just like everything else. And it has storage just like everything else. You can come here and you can add more storage to your freighter using those freighter expansion slots. They look just like the ones you use on your multi-tool and the ones you use on your Starship, but they're a different color. And continuing around this thing here, you've got the freighter warp map. So those upgrades that you can get help you to get around. If you want to take this bad boy and put it into a new system that has a different economy, maybe you want to be able to get different materials, sell things for different amounts of money, right? There's all sorts of strategic reasons to change the location that your freighter is in. So that's where you do that. You send it to new places. And here we've got manage fleet. So we interact with this and we can manage our fleet. And here is where you see all of the fleet that you have, and you can click on them to dismiss them if you don't want them in your fleet anymore. Maybe you don't want any more C tier guys. You just want to focus on finding B or A or something, right? You can dismiss them if you feel like their stats just aren't great. Alternatively, you could teleport directly aboard them. So like this guy right here is damaged. I could say, hey, I want to teleport aboard this person to go and do my repairs. So now here I am on his ship. We walk over to the communications panel here and we talk to him. It says inspect damage report, marked damage component. He's going to mark it for us so we know what damaged. We run over to the damaged section. We start the repair. We give it the materials it needs, in this case 20 gold, and there we go. This frigate, it says repair the damaged frigate complete. So this frigate is back up and running 100% capacity. Run back to where you started, interact with the frigate teleport terminus, and now you're back on your freighter, and you can rinse and repeat that as many times as you need to. And that can be done here with the manage fleet option. Also, you can manage your squadron here. So while you're out and about, you can talk to pilots that have landed on planets or on space stations, and you can recruit them to your squadron. They'll say, hey, do you want to trade? Do you want to buy my ship? Or do you want to recruit me to your squadron, right? So you get that option every time you talk to one of those NPCs. So you can add them to your squadron, and then you can summon them whenever you get into spaceship fights with pirates, you know, out in space. Then you've got your managed Starship Archive. This is where you can see all of your current starships that you have. And it says you can archive your ships for long-term storage. Archive ships will be placed in long storage, and stored ships keep all installed technology ready for redeployment. Any surplus cargo will be destroyed. So if you're someone that's collecting starships, you really don't want one to go, just remember before you store it, get any cargo off of it. Otherwise it's going to be destroyed. The last thing that we need to talk about is fuel. So before you can send these guys on missions, you need to make sure you have the fuel they're going to need to go out on the expedition. So if we check this one right here, this balanced expedition, and down here it says fuel required in tons. So we pick the guys we want to send. So maybe we pick this guy right here, and it says in order to do this, we're going to need 100 tons of fuel, which I don't have on me right now. In order to get that, you can have it made by your settlement, like I'm currently doing at my settlement. You can also come into your inventory and you can craft it. So it says in order to craft this, we're going to need dihydrogen and tritium. So there we go. Now we have 200. Each of those was 100. Come back here, view the expeditions, choose this expedition again. I picked a different ship this time that was a lot more efficient, and now it's only 50 tons, which is nice. And that's something to keep in mind when you're picking ships that you want to hire. One of the stats they have is fuel efficiency. It'll tell you how much it costs and how far they travel with that amount of fuel. So if it's a really bad ratio, you may want to decline on them because they're just going to cost you a ton of fuel. You're going to constantly be crafting this stuff. So we launch this expedition. Boom, that one's going. We'll see him in 5 hours. And I believe we have covered everything that you can do here on your freighter. Now you'll be able to start sending those guys out on missions and, you know, try to keep them active. They come back with loads of rewards. Now, another fantastic thing that this game has is it's got difficulty settings, but not just difficulty settings. Some of these things are just annoying to some people, while other people just love them, right? It's not so much hard as it can be tedious sometimes. So if you pull open your menu, you go to difficulty, and then you're presented with a ton of options. So things like natural resources, this determines how far apart the resources are and how long it takes to gather them. So if you're someone that doesn't mind gathering the resources, but you don't want to have to run 10 miles to get to the next one, and then you don't want to have to shoot your laser at it for a really long time, you could change this from standard to abundant, and then this is going to make it so you find them more often and then you mine them faster. As it says over on the right side of the screen there, this setting scales the abundance of natural resources and how quickly they are gathered, right? So settings like this don't really change anything about the difficulty of the game, just how long it takes to do various tasks. And they've got a lot of little settings in here like that, where without really impacting the experience, you can maybe reduce the tedium a little bit that can come with massive survival games. If you're someone like me that really loves survival games, but I just don't like spending all my time gathering materials. You can also change the sprinting limitation. I think these are the two I changed on my first playthrough. I just hated the feeling of walking when I ran out of sprint, so I changed this to relaxed. That way I still could upgrade my suit to improve my ability to sprint, but it wasn't slowing me down so much. But they've got more in here. You can mess with everything like damage, technology damage. Oh, and the other one I changed was death consequences. I put it so that my items don't drop when I die. That's what it was. Yeah, because I don't like that in any of the survival games I play. Nothing like a corpse run to ruin my mood, right? So I have my items come with me when I die. You know, they're not left behind. Beyond that, you can change crafting costs. You can change combat settings. You can change how easy some things are to use, right? Like lots in here for you to kind of fine tune the game just to your liking. And there's nothing wrong with coming in here and changing these settings. You know, you're playing this game to have fun. So don't feel bad about making it fun for yourself. And don't stress if you get 20 hours into the game and realize you don't like a setting, you can change it anytime you want to. Now, if you're trying to decide if you should hold on to something or if you should just sell it to an NPC, the items tell you, right? So if we hover over indium, right there, it says used for building, crafting, charging, and upgrading. And then we hover over something like Runaway Mold, where a lot of people have no idea what this does until they read it right there. It says used for upgrading and refining. So while it could sell for 199,000 units, you can refine it into nanites, which are infinitely more valuable to most people. And then if we hover over this blackened pump, it says used for trading. So you know, hey, this is safe to trade because that's the only thing it's listed for. At the end of the day, I'm going to be trading it to someone for money. Now, some of them won't be as obvious. Like you look at this Gek relic here, it says total value 70,000, and below that, it doesn't have a use listed. It doesn't say it's for trading. You can read the text above it. It says popular with many traders who see it as an emblem of fair commerce and peace. There's a few items in this game that you're going to get a lot, and you can trade them to NPCs that you talk to. So if I walk up to any Gek NPC, here we go, here's a Gek, and we talk to him, offer a gift. I can offer him that relic to increase my standing with them. He accepts it, and in the top right, it says standing with Gek increased by 1. So now I can go into my catalog. I can go to life forms here. I can see that my standing is plus 95. My next rank is in 5 levels. So we can keep giving him those items, right? And you can keep on going if you keep finding more out there, and you'll find them pretty often. Don't be shy about using them. Now, another thing to be aware of is the adjacency bonus. So when you put two similar things next to each other, they will buff each other. So you'll notice these have an orange border around them because they buff each other. I move this one here, they're not touching, so they're not giving each other a buff. Similarly, all of these are touching, right? So they're buffing each other. That's why they all have this yellow outline. So when you put similar upgrades adjacent to each other, they buff each other. I was reading into how the math works out, and it's actually so insanely complicated that I honestly don't think it's worth worrying about while you're playing this game. The game is not difficult enough for you to stress in what order and type of bonuses you're getting by setting them next to each other. The important thing to know is just put the one that you want to buff the most in the middle, because it's going to be touched by the most to get the most out of the bonus, right? So if I wanted to buff this one the most, I would go ahead and put it in the middle so that it had 1, 2, 3, 4 adjacency bonuses being applied to it. That's the simple and most efficient way of describing how this bonus works. If you dive deeper than this, there's parts with greater and lesser buffs. So there's a bit of min-maxing you can do, but honestly, I wouldn't sweat any of that on your first playthrough. This this is going to be more than enough to get you through it. In fact, many people get through the entire game without having any clue this adjacency system exists at all. Another thing you might notice when you're looking at your inventory is this right here. You'll see these supercharged slots. So if you put something there, like for instance, what about our rockets? Our rockets right now do 1950 DPS. And if we put them here, now they do 3046 DPS. So about a 50% upgrade in damage right there. The higher the class of your spaceships, the more likely you are to have some of these supercharged slots. Their location is random. So different ships of the same class can have their supercharged slots in different locations. So sometimes you might get a really good location for a supercharged slot, and sometimes you might get a not so great location for one. Let's check on that mold we started refining earlier. It disappeared. Okay, so I just did a test where I put some mold in here, started the refining, and then teleported to a new system. I just deleted both the mold and the nanites it had produced. So when using this onboard refiner unit, unfortunately, it looks like you're gonna have to be a little bit careful with that. This is a fairly new addition to the game, so it's probably just a bug that they have to sort out. But until they do, just be careful about putting large sums of anything into this refiner if you're going to be moving around a lot. If you just want to put it in there and then wait for it, you know, that's fine. Now, when you're trying to craft something, if you ever can't figure out how to craft something, like let's say you know you need to make frigate fuel, but you don't know how to make the ingredients that make frigate fuel, click on it. You can view the crafting steps. It's the bottom option down there. So if we look at this, it tells us everything that we need in there. Now that's a pretty simple one, right? So it's only one layer. But what if we go to something a little bit more complicated, like a circuit board? So if we look at the circuit board, it tells us in order to make this, we're going to need cactus flesh and star bulbs in order to make this polyfiber. And then we're going to need the frost crystal and the selenium to make the heat capacitor. And then in order to make the circuit board, we're going to need both of these two items here. So if you're ever not sure how to make something, just select it and then tell it you want to view the crafting steps so that you can see everything that you need to make in order to craft it. Another thing you can run into are abandoned or derelict freighters. So you might find something like this here. It's an emergency signal scanner. We use it and it's going to begin looking for an abandoned freighter. So we activate the pulse drive to begin looking. It's searching and it found it. Now we land on this freighter. My big old ship right now. Beamed aboard. So these can have some really valuable items inside. But these remind me of playing Dead Space. They're really creepy. Everything's trying to kill you the whole time you're in here. So we can use the receiver that we brought to unseal this door, and that's going to let us go inside. While you're in these derelict freighters, your temperature is going to be dropping the whole time. So you can save some resources by standing next to these heating units that you'll run into along the way. You can use your scanner to locate items of interest in here, kind of keep you going in the right direction. We got some tainted metal. We can trade tainted metal in at a pirate station or an outlaw station. We'll do that next. So there's this living slime. This you can kill and it's going to give you some loot. You'll find logs and it's a good idea to read all of them that you run by. You'll run into doors like this one. You have to break your way through. Slime. You'll find these horrific nests, and whenever these are stirring, whenever they're glowing red, you need to stand still. It says don't move while the nest is stirring. Right now it's stirring. If I move too much near it, it'll wake up and bad things will happen. So we'll just demonstrate that. These guys will come running out of it. They're crawling on the other nest. All right, one of these logs gave me a credential. Will be useful here. On these derelict freighters, you'll find something like a manifest like this that it says is valuable to those concerned with the fate of the missing ship. So you'll be able to sell this. And then when you get to the end, you're going to get to choose whether you want to fabricate something or extract nanites. So you can fabricate technology upgrades, freighter bulkheads, or Corvette modules. And then bottom right, you'll see it says all significant salvage retrieved. Use the teleport network to get back to your ship. So it'll tell you if you're not sure if you're done yet or not, you know, if you missed something important, it'll pop up on the bottom right side of your screen from time to time saying, hey, you're good to go. Don't worry. Then you can use the teleporter to get back. It's going to take you right back to the entrance, run back through the creepy tunnel that you started in, and you have completed a Lost in Space quest. And if you came here on a Corvette, use the beam aboard duct vessel portal here, and that'll put you back in your Corvette. You're all done. Now, one of the things you could have done in there was get a ton of slime if you were killing all of the slime packs and everything like that. As I As I mentioned, this can be refined into living mold if you want, and then the living mold will be refined into nanites at a 5:1 ratio. We got about 3,000 living slime from that, which means it's going to give us about 600 nanites when it's done converting. Now, when you get to a space station, you can come down here to the scrap dealer. We can sell the crew manifest to this guy here for tainted metal. We can do the same with the captain's log that we found. We can purchase the coordinates of more lost vessels, and he'll sell us stuff for tainted metal. So we can get suspicious packages, suspicious tech, right? So goods, tech, arms. Basically what these allow you to do is gamble for upgrades in this game. So we'll buy a couple. So we can open these. So this one gave us a black market modification for our scatter blaster. Okay, go ahead and put that in to see what it does. And it's giving us 3% damage, 1 extra shot per burst, 8% increased reload speed, and 8 to our clip size. Okay. And then for the tech packet, we've got an exosuit defensive system. Let's go ahead and install that and see what it does here for us. It's giving us 10% shield strength and 33% core health. Alternatively, we could have come upstairs and turned it into the envoy for increased Explorers Guild rank. And then this just allows you to come here and collect rewards every so often. So we can grab this and we'll just go ahead and pass on taking the oxygen. But if we get higher ranks, we'd be able to get this module, this anomaly detector, launch thruster module. Nice, an S tier 1 no less down there. All right, guys, that is absolutely everything. If you're still here, leave a comment down below. Let me know that you made it to the end. I always appreciate seeing those. And if you have any questions after watching this video, go ahead and leave the question in the comments below and I'll do my very best to answer every single one. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoy videos like this one, be sure to like and subscribe for more quality content. Massive shout out to my YouTube channel members for making massive videos like this one possible. To become a member, subscribe to the channel and click the join button below. If you're not sure what to do next, maybe watch one of the videos popping up on screen right now. Hope to see you in the next one.